is Savardis. He's on the move, and they're going to look for Savardis in the corner. Touchdown!
Rowan heading for the touchpad with the lead, and the Profs will take the men's 400-yard freestyle relay.
This will be a shotgun. He takes the snap, fakes the handoff. He'll throw it down the left sideline. He's got a wide open receiver. He's got the touchdown.
Oldbridge moving in. Sends one on goal, and he scores. And it is a power play goal.
Back to pass, middle of the field. The catch is made by Britt. She's off to the races at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. Britt is in for the score.
Back on in, here's Yoxon. Yoxon to the backhand, trying to go to the front, makes the move, a shot, and he scores!
Smith delivers. That's it back toward the mound. Weiss has it in short. He steps on second, and the ball game is over. Massapequa Coast has won the 2023 New York State Little League Baseball Championship.
Live from Lombardi Field on the campus of Oldbridge High School in Oldbridge, New Jersey, PDF Sports Network is proud to welcome you into debut coverage of Oldbridge High School varsity football. Good evening, everyone. I'm David Pizzuto alongside Joe Foreman. We are about 10 minutes away from opening kickoff here between the Oldbridge High School Knights taking on the Woodbridge High School Barons. Joe, welcome to another season of high school football. We find ourselves here at Oldbridge.
Well, Dave, we've covered traditional semi-pro football. We have covered arena football, and our coverage here on PDF has taken us all over the Northeast. Tonight, we make our first stop covering high school football. I can't wait to see the Knights and the Barons take the field. Of course, we are covering this game live from Lombardi High School on the campus of Oldbridge High School. As you mentioned, Dave, we're happy to be here. We're really excited to get started covering high school football, and there is a sea of purple in front of us as we get set for kickoff here on opening night. We had our senior walk not too long ago as well.
Right, and we'll give you the names of those seniors as we go during the game, and of course, as we have time. And you mentioned the sea of purple, Joe. These two teams did battle on opening day last year in a game held at Woodbridge High School. Now Oldbridge, of course, returns the favor and gets the home game here in 2024. Last year, Woodbridge scoring a 28-13 win over Oldbridge. And, you know, speaking with head coach Matt Donahue a few weeks ago, he says, like last year, his Oldbridge team this year is still a very young team, but they won 3 out of their last 4 games to end last year's season. Joe, a 4-6 season. Good things and good positive energy coming into this one.
Well, there's a lot to be said for a strong finish from the season prior, heading into a brand new season. And of course, tonight, Oldbridge has the advantage of hosting this game on their home turf. Now, back when I was in high school, we didn't have a facility quite like this. So the atmosphere around this game is something that's very new to me, and the school year hasn't even started yet. So there's still a great turnout despite the fact that the school year hasn't begun. I couldn't park. I'm about a mile away. So there's plenty to be excited about here at Oldbridge High School tonight. And of course, you know the Knights would love to avenge that loss to open up last season at Woodbridge, and we'll see if they can do so and make it 4 out of their last 5.
Absolutely, and a great start, of course, is what every coach and every staff wants to see. And, of course, these kids who've been working here during camp, during the summer, these two teams did scrimmage as well leading up to the preseason. So there is a certain degree of familiarity, Joe. But, you know, again, going back to last year, 28-13 was the final on opening night for Woodbridge, a game, Joe, in which they got out to a 21-0 halftime lead. So they really took the reins of that game almost immediately, and obviously the scoring from there was a little bit closer. Oldbridge outscoring Woodbridge in the second half of that game. But still, a strong start is what you would want to see if you're Oldbridge and Woodbridge in this one.
And we've said it time and time again, covering football at all levels. Strong starts are important, and it sounds like the Knights about to get off to a strong start with introductions as the siren sounds, but a strong start, always important. Something else that's also important is that familiarity that you mentioned between these two teams. A lot of the time at the high school level, you see a lot of those trick plays. The ball put on the ground, a lot of options, the short passing game, the screen passing game. So familiarity with your opponent certainly helps you when it comes to defending those aspects of the offense.
Yeah, so without a doubt, and of course we will see the Oldbridge Knights coming onto the field in just a few moments. Of course, we'll take a look. at some of the cheerleaders who are coming on now. We want to give you a lot of that pomp and circumstance here for this first game, although we will cut to break in a little bit to acknowledge our great sponsors for this game. But, Joe, a little bit of a programming note for us. This is the first of 5 home games that we will be covering here on the PDF Sports Network. A little bit of a work in progress here at Oldbridge. We had some trouble navigating some of the wireless internet here, so we've gone through that. We have a couple of camera angles to show you as well. But on your screen now is that schedule we were talking about, and all the games that are in home, you get to see them on your screen right now. We will be here for you. Obviously, this is the place to be. You want to be here in person, but if you can't, PDF Sportsnet has you.
Well, you can't quite get the same view that we give you here. We are behind the student section, so this view is reserved for the students, but of course we do encourage everyone to come visit Oldbridge High School. As you see the players right now making quite the entrance, and I'm trying to get a look at what it says on that banner before it's torn into pieces by the running players. We'll get a look at that on camera, perhaps the camera with a better view than my eyes give me. But again, Dave, a lot of excitement surrounding opening night, and you can see that coming to fruition out on the field right now before this game has even gotten started.
Absolutely, and not much has changed in the New Jersey high school landscape as far as where teams are kind of situated. Once again, Oldbridge finds themselves in the National Gold Division of the New Jersey high school play. Fellow teams in their division are East Brunswick, Monroe, Piscataway, and South Brunswick. Again, some of those games we will have those divisional contests, and those are the games that, of course, all of these teams have kind of circled on their schedules coming into this one. But, you know, as for Woodbridge, they play in the Liberty Gold Division, and they won their division last year, Joe. They went 4-0 in division play, 6-4 overall. A really tough loss in the playoffs, but they're hoping to score an upset win here on road turf.
The horns are sounding and the confetti is flying as the Knights take the field for the first time tonight. But Dave, we'll step aside and take a quick break before we get started here this evening, as we are less than 4 minutes away from kickoff between Oldbridge High School and Woodbridge High School. High school football coverage coming up next here on the PDF Sports Network.
At Bagel Boy Bagel Shop in Oldbridge, we're more than just bagels. Come visit us at 2329 County Road 516, where we bake our bagels and bread fresh daily, have the freshest fruit and veggie platters, and an assortment of sandwiches and plates that are sure to satisfy. Bagel Boy is a proud sponsor of all things Oldbridge. Go Knights and go to Bagel Boy. 2329 County Road 516 and at bagelboyonline.com.
East Coast Trophies and Awards has been serving your awards needs since 1986 and is now a proud sponsor of the PDF Sports Network. From sports-specific trophies and plaques to corporate and business promotions and gifts, East Coast Trophies and Awards is your one-stop shop for all of your crowning achievements, and they always meet the right price. Contact Chris today at 848-223-7071 or visit them at www.eastcoastawards.com.
And we are back from Lombardi Field, where Dave is joined on the field by Oldbridge High School head coach Matt Donahue. We'll throw it down to Dave, and on the other side of his conversation with Coach Donahue, we will have kickoff between the Knights and the Barons.
All right, Joe, I am here with head coach Matt Donahue prior to kickoff. Coach, opening game here at home. Special feeling for, I'm sure, the coaching staff and the guys. Tell me a little bit about the mindset of the team coming into the showdown against Woodbridge.
It's a great environment. Every home game here. We're ready to go. They've been waiting for a long time, since last year, to get back on the field, strap it up again. And, we're going to go out there and compete today.
All right, and this Woodbridge team you're facing tonight, pretty good team. Finished 6-4 a year ago. Handed you guys a loss on opening day last year. What do we know about this team and the way we need to attack them today to get out of here with a win?
They got great athletes. They got some good size up front. And we just have to go out and play our game and not shoot ourselves in the foot. No penalties, no turnovers, and just got to go out there and compete.
Coach, I know every coaching staff, every team wants to lift the trophy at the end of the season. But for you, in order for this season to be successful in your eyes, what has to happen?
Just got to concentrate on 1 week at a time. Can't look ahead. Concentrate on 1 week at a time, get better each week. Right now we're only focused on Woodbridge and nothing else.
All right, Coach, pleasure to talk to you. Good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
You got it. So we are back here live, and 12 minutes have been put on the clock, and we are almost ready to get started here. The coin toss going on between the teams at the 50-yard line. And Joe, while they sort out the coin toss, we talk about this in a lot of the football that we cover on the semi-pro side of things, Joe, and how teams opt to kick off early in games, and then the opposite team is able to get good field position to start games, go down the field and score. Almost thinking the game within the game here for the coin toss, Joe. If you're Oldbridge and you're at home, you got your fans behind you. If you win this toss, do you want the ball first?
I think it's awfully tempting, Dave. Time and time again, you love to see teams receive the ball at home and try and energize the crowd to try and strike first, especially in the opening game. But I think more often than not, the book says to kick. I'm personally in favor of kicking. I think it's much easier to manage time of possession and to manage the clock moving into the second half when you know you are receiving the football. If you have the ball late in the first half, you can choose to slow things down a bit, try and bleed the clock, and maybe get 2 for the price of 1. So we'll see if that's how these teams decide to play it. Sometimes a bit tough to decipher who won the toss and what they have elected to do. It depends on how well that is signaled, but we're looking into the huddle over at midfield right now, and I'm not sure that we've had a signal yet. The two teams have taken their respective sides, and it is going to be Oldbridge receiving. The question is, did they win the toss?
Well, we don't really know, but either way, Oldbridge will get the ball first, and we will see them on offense, Joe. A heavy running offense last year under Coach Donnie. Of course, they did pass the ball a lot. Sophomore quarterback did most of the snaps. Nugent was the quarterback last year, and of course, we haven't really been giving a proper scouting report for either of these teams, Joe, but we'll see if Nugent gets to start here as well. Last year, over 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Of course, is back on the roster this year.
That's a good deal of throwing. 165 pass attempts last year, getting those 1,217 yards on 165 attempts, 78 completion. So a bit under the 50% mark. That's typical at the high school level. You don't quite see those 50 and even sometimes 60% completion percentages in high school. And when you have that, you know that oftentimes you have a very special player at the quarterback position. So we'll see what we get from these quarterbacks tonight. I think it being the first regular season game action for these teams certainly factors into the play calling as well. We'll see how much they look to pass the football here this evening. As you mentioned, Dave, Oldbridge, a heavy running offense last year. You, of course, got the opportunity to speak with their head coach and to speak a bit more with their coaching staff leading into this game. This is our first look at Woodbridge tonight. I'm excited to see what these two teams have to offer.
And Isaiah Tolliver will get us going first here for Woodbridge, spotting it up, number 4 in white, and they kick off from the 40 and over, and it will be taken at the 5-yard line. Big head of steam and rolling to the right and now through the middle of the field and breaking out of the pack. That's Chase Rizzo. The ball is out, however. And plenty of bodies on top. Who came down with it? It will be Woodbridge football.
Angelo Campos on the fumble recovery for the visitors, as on that play it looked like Rizzo was going to be off to the races. He had a head of steam. He had broken away from the pack on that kick return, and with one man to beat, he lost the football, and then it looked like he stumbled and kicked the ball forward about 5 to 10 yards. That allowed Campos to fall on top of it. He really wasn't contested for that football, and it's an early turnover for Oldbridge on the opening kickoff, though it looks like right now they are pointing in their direction. So maybe they are getting the football, and indeed they are. So something happened that led the officials to change the ruling. I'm not sure what the call was. We'll see if that's passed up to the booth.
Yeah, not sure at all. We'll see if we maybe get it via the public address that comes up here, but it did look like a clean fumble. Not sure what you saw from the replay, Joe, but yeah, they are still discussing it, though, at about the 45-yard line, or 35-yard line.
So a very interesting start to this game, as that ball was initially fumbled. It appeared anyway that it was going to be Woodbridge football. However, it is going to be Oldbridge possession. And Dave, indeed, it will be Brody Nugent at quarterback, 6 foot, 165-pound quarterback and defensive back.
Working out of the shotgun, but flags down immediately here from the near side. Judge looking right in on that line of scrimmage, and once again they'll conference for just a moment. Looks like Oldbridge, however, will be backed up 5 yards.
Well, that's certainly not the start you're looking for if you're Oldbridge, but you have to think that even though you got to keep the football following what appeared to be a fumble initially, that has to shake you just a bit. Obviously, that had nothing to do with the offense. Those players weren't out there on the field. They were not involved, though Rizzo is the starting running back. He is in the backfield, so maybe that affects him a little bit, but he's not a first-year player. He is a sophomore. He does have experience. How much varsity experience is the question, but he is in there right now, and Oldbridge will be set up with what I thought would be a 1st and 15. It is a 1st and 5.
All right, so penalty
against the defense.
Against the Barons, so bit of a break there. So on 1st and 5 from the 30, and there's more movement there as it looks like Woodbridge is off sides yet again. So automatic first down here via the 2 penalties. And if you're Oldbridge, you go from losing the football on the opening kickoff to now a 1st and 10 via 2 penalties. And now they work in the flat to Rizzo. Rizzo able to gain the edge and powers down to about the 15-yard line. Looks to be about a yard short of the first down.
Well, I don't think Rizzo's shaking, Dave. First chance they get him the football on the swing pass out of the backfield. He makes the initial tackler miss and is able to gain about 8 yards on the play as we have a Baron down on the far sideline. So there's going to be an injury timeout as we will get a look at that last play while they attend to the injured player. And here you see Rizzo off of that swing pass with a nice burst of speed off the catch, and that's something that you like to see from your pass catchers out of the backfield. A back who can catch the ball and then quickly accelerate after he brings in that reception. We saw that from Rizzo on that last play.
One of those young players that Coach Donahue was talking to us about a few weeks before the season. He is only a sophomore on this team, and this is a team whose leading rusher last year, Davies, ran the ball 134 times, and Nugent himself out of the pocket with 101. Some of those design carries, but almost 30 rushes per game was the average for Oldbridge last season. So you know they want to be able to run the football, but play number 1 is a pass out in the flat. We'll see what they have to offer here on 2nd down and about a long 2. Nugent now gets joined in the backfield by Dixon. To his left, a little bit of movement there by the Barons. Wanting to change things up was Nugent. Silent count, he tucks it down, runs with it, and will be very close to the first down. Looks like he might have gotten it, Joe. Side judge right in line with the first down sticks.
He certainly got it, and he paid for it, Dave. Took a big hit at the end of that play. And ahead of that last snap, we got a look at the Woodbridge defensive front, anchored by big number 79, Ayaro Andrews, the junior. And that is a big man at the middle for Woodbridge. And on that play, Nugent took it behind left guard, avoiding the big defensive tackle. That's just one of three very, very big defensive linemen on the side of Woodbridge.
Good idea, however, by Oldbridge to show that design quarterback run. Make sure Woodbridge respects it for the game as we have more flags down now, once again, from the near side of the field. Xavier Diaz was the wideout closest to us, one of the leading receivers for this Knights team a year ago.
And this penalty will indeed be against Woodbridge, or I should say Oldbridge. And it is so easy.
It's a bridge.
It's so easy to say Woodbridge when you mean Oldbridge and vice versa. So I think I should go Knights and Barons.
Smart move.
It's so easy. It looked like the left tackle for the Knights was the one who moved early on that play.
Jeremiah Dixon remains in the backfield with Nugent directly behind him. Nugent barks out some changes there. They go with two receivers on each side and snagging it out in the open and coming down with it. No, incomplete was the call. Looks like Woodbridge sniffed that one out, Joe, but receiver almost made a good play.
Yeah, that was Liam Schechter, number 84 for the Knights, who nearly made a great catch. That ball was a bit behind him, but I think by putting the ball behind his receiver, the quarterback Nugent protected him from a hit because that quick slant pattern was headed right for a defensive back. And if you put that ball on your receiver in stride, he's on a collision course with the DB. So I think it was a good thing there on a very short pass that fell incomplete, was thrown behind the receiver.
10:24 remaining in the first quarter. Opening drive of the game. There's an errant snap. Hits the turf. Nugent no choice but to try and get something out of it. Looks like maybe he got back to the line of scrimmage. If he did, it'll be 3rd down and 15.
Plays like that are what makes practice reps so important. Pre-snap motion. Jaden Griffith headed across the formation on the sweep. It looked like that was a bit of a diversion attempt by Oldbridge with that pre-snap motion. And perhaps the ball contacted him, or perhaps the snap was just errant. Very tough to tell, but that will set up a 3rd and long.
So got to reach back into the playbook for this one. 3rd down and 15. Trips to the right side. Left-handed quarterback rolling to his right. Nugent drops it off, and it's off of the fingertips of Diaz, who was running alongside the same route as Nugent. It would have been close to the 1st down if he was able to head upfield, but instead it'll be 4th down and long. And it looks like special teams unit will come on. It's kind of in no man's land here, Joe. And it looks like it will be Lucas Michael coming in, try and tee this one up from 37 yards out.
Well, credit to Barry Carter and Josh Allen making that a really tough throw, because it looked like they would be within a yard or two of the 1st down if Diaz was able to bring it in.
Brody Hunt will hold. Kick is up. It is sailing to the right. It won't get there. Short. Just short. And so Oldbridge surrenders the ball, at least deep inside of Woodbridge territory. And again, Joe, we say it when we cover football a lot, those pre-snap penalties, backing them up, making it a 1st and 15, then a botched snap, these little mistakes that coaches, of course, are going to look at in film the next day.
I think the botched snap is the one that really hurts you, because in that situation, you lose a play completely. With a pre-snap penalty, you don't lose the down. You do back up 5 yards, but you don't lose the down. You lose the down completely, and you lose yardage on a botched snap. That one hurt, and I think in terms of kick distance, that 5 yards was the difference.
Yeah. So signal calling will be Derek Anderson, very familiar signal caller here. And they give it up the middle to Jamar Beal. And this fellow senior will dive ahead for about 5 yards, make that 6 on that play.
And you often hear it spoken about, yards after first contact. And on that play, Jameer Beal was able to stumble through a lot of heavy traffic and power his way through some big bodies in the middle to pick up a nice gain on 1st down, officially a gain of 7.
So 2nd down and 3. good options now for Anderson, who also was the team's leading rusher a year ago. That one is too far extended. He was looking in the seam for, looked like Sincere Barner, number 0. But we don't have a 0 on our roster. We do have a double 0, I believe. That is Barner.
And Dave, I'm not sure if you caught what Anderson did there. He tried to look off the route he wanted to throw. He looked toward the outside and then fired it up the seam. The coverage in the seam was good. That forced the throw a bit high, and that ball nearly wound up in the arms of the safety.
Derek Anderson, one of the stars of New Jersey high school football last year as a junior, 107 out of 191, 1,750 yards, 21 touchdowns, Joe, only 1 interception all season long. He was one of the bright spots, and on this team with a lot of senior leadership, he is going to be expected to carry the torch. Like I mentioned, also the team's leading rusher. In motion goes Campos, and they swing it out to the left side, diving forward close to the first down. Looks like they have it as Beal was able to extend.
Well, the pre-snap motion got some additional blocking outside of left tackle, and on the toss, once again, it's Beal with a strong run, this time picking up the first down on a 3rd down and about 3. And that will move the chains for Woodbridge, and we've seen both teams with a very balanced offensive attack early, looking to pass, but showing the ability to run as well.
Yeah, trying to keep the defenses off balance with a good mix here early. Michael Kavas was in on the tackle, at least the first one in on the tackle for the Knights. Anderson will continue to work out of the shotgun. More motion in front, the read option taken by Anderson, and he once again dives left side for another 5-yard pickup.
And something not to be lost, even though Oldbridge didn't score on their opening drive, the big return by Rizzo and the ultimately overturned fumble call did set them up well in the battle for field position. Woodbridge to score on this drive is going to have to go a long way, and even if they are able to do it on the ground, your quarterback and your running back will both take a lot of hits in the process. Those add up over the course of 4 quarters.
2nd down along 4, perhaps, for the Barons on their opening drive. Taken over after the missed field goal by the Knights. 8:14 remaining first quarter. Once again, the man in motion, and the give is wide to DeFonso. DeFonso is able to get the edge and the first down. Gain of about 7 on the play was enough. There is a flag in the backfield.
And we'll see which way this one goes. It's thrown in the area of an offensive penalty, it appeared. Officials conversing right now, but I didn't see a signal earlier in regards to the penalty. Here it comes.
And it will be a hold against Woodbridge. So they'll back them up 10 yards, maybe a little bit up the field if that block happened up the field. But either way, it will negate a Barons first down. And I'm looking about 2nd down and a 15 spot here.
Well, that incomplete pass the Barons threw earlier in the drive, at the very least, keeps the defense honest. Yep. You know they're willing to throw it, and I think eventually they might come back to that. But outside of that penalty, they've done a good job on the ground so far, and you know that has the attention of this Oldbridge defense.
Absolutely. And they've done it through both sides of the field as well, and up the middle with Anderson keeping it himself. Once again, a lot of motion, and the give is straight up underneath to Beal, and Beal powers forward. A gain of about 7 on the play. Gets back to the line of scrimmage and then some.
Yards after first contact again, Dave. A lot of the time, you'll see defenders taught to try and go for the waist, go for the upper part of the leg on a tackle. They may have gone just a bit too low on Beal. He was tripped up at about the line of scrimmage. That very easily could have been a gain of maybe 2, possibly 3. He turned it into a gain of a bit more and sets up a 3rd down and much more manageable. He's been impressive on the ground early.
Absolutely. Making the first tackler miss right now has been the calling card for Beal here in the early going. Jamar Beal, fellow senior. Jameer Beal. 3rd down, short 7. On the move is Anderson. Surveys the field, now wants to go deep and throws it in the middle of a crowd. Closest intended receiver was Isaiah Tolliver, who also doubles as the kicker on this team. And on 4th down, Woodbridge will be fixing the punt.
And that was a dangerous throw, Dave. There was a lot of traffic back there, and we see that quite a bit at all levels of football now. A very popular play call in a 3rd and medium. Get your quarterback moving and rolling to their strong side with multiple options to throw the football. That was very well covered by the Knights. There was nobody open on that play.
Kyle Campos will operate deep to punt this one, and Cam Olivencia back deep for Oldbridge, standing at his 35-yard line. 7:13 remaining in the first quarter. Big rush, and getting off was Campos, and a great punt. It takes a Woodbridge bounce and ends up at about the 15-yard line. So a 49-yard punt with no return. Will set up Oldbridge 1st and 10 at their own 15.
And we'll get a second look at that punt in just a moment. And how about that for a kick under duress? The rush was there, and barely getting that punt away with the Barons. And not only did they get the punt away under immense duress, but they were able to get a great bounce and send that ball out of bounds deep in Knights territory. And after Oldbridge seized control of the field position battle to start this game, Woodbridge fires a shot back in the other direction and pins Oldbridge back inside of their own 20-yard line.
So 7:03 remaining in the first quarter. Oldbridge getting set for their second offensive series of the game. Had a great kickoff return to start things off. What we thought was a potential fumble. They were able to get possession back. They did pick up a first down, but a pre-snap penalty backing them up, making it 1st and 15, kind of stalled the drive. And Oldbridge now with their second turn and second look against this Barons defense.
And on that opening drive, it got off to a promising start. We thought initially that the Knights had committed a penalty. It was not so. They were gifted a free first down on a couple of defensive infractions, but after one passing play that netted them a first down, they couldn't get any further. We'll see if that changes.
Enzo tucking it down. Once again is Nugent. He gets stood up at about the 16-yard line. Very minimal gain on the play, but it looked like another design run right from the get-go.
Johnny Collado in on the tackle along with Aiden Jones defensively for the Barons. They were swarming, and you think the more times that they see a play like that, the better defended it will be. We saw the Knights go to that quarterback option, or I should say quarterback draw, on the first drive, and it was pretty well defended there as well. Nugent was forced through a tight hole that time. The Barons rallied to make the tackle for a short gain.
So now stacked backfield here for Nugent. They bring up 3 wide receivers, 2 to his left, and that's where some orders are being barked at. The give is underneath, straight into the wall of defenders for Woodbridge. First carry for Jaden Endaz in the game. Doubles defensively as a linebacker for this Oldbridge team. Moves the pile a little bit. It'll be 3rd and about 6 here on this play.
3rd and medium, and pretty much the entire playbook is open here if you consider this 4-down territory. This deep in your own territory, we've seen it in the semi-pro game. They go for it every time. I'm not sure we'll see that here tonight, but I think the run is certainly on the table in a 3rd and medium. We'll see what Oldbridge looks to do.
We'll see indeed. 4 wide receiver set. Nugent at first looks left, now wants to drop it off. That ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage, intended for Griffith on the play, but it'll be 4th down.
And I think that was an attempted screen pass over the middle as they sent the blockers upfield toward the left sideline. They were trying to set up blocking for the wideout on the right, a very unique play design. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off as it looked like the Barons were in good position defensively had that ball been caught. Instead, the pressure on the quarterback forced an errant throw, and right now it appears Nugent is leading that huddle, so we'll see if perhaps Oldbridge is thinking about going for it or if he's just on the special teams unit.
Yeah, I think they will punt this one away, as it will be Nugent.
Yeah.
And Woodbridge setting up at the 50-yard line to return this one, so they are going to get good field position. If they could field this one here, Brian Anderson is back deep for the Barons.
I can count the number of punts we've covered on one hand.
And it looks like it is a fake. No, and it's Nugent on the scramble and punt. It is taken by Anderson, and he is popped out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. So Brian Anderson, another senior on this Woodbridge team, setting up the Barons in excellent field position.
Well, they made us think about it, Dave. For a moment, the left-handed quarterback moving to his left looked like maybe he might throw it, but many punters do that today, especially at the college level. You don't see it in the NFL much, but in the college game and in the high school game, clearly that's something that's on the table. Nugent with a pretty good punt, but now Woodbridge beginning to gain the advantage in the battle of field position. That's something to keep an eye on, as these two defenses have been very stout early in this game.
I'll just go back to that punt that was gotten off by Campos on the other side, a 49-yarder with no return under extreme duress. As you saw the replay of that earlier, Joe, and just as you described it, switching the field, and now they reap the benefits after a Oldbridge 3-and-out. Derek Anderson continues to work out of the shotgun, and in motion is DeFonso. Goes across the middle and stood up. The ball was out, as waiting for Beal in the backfield was Zamir Evans, breaking things up. That'll be a big loss of 5 yards.
I think it was big number 55, Johnny Collado, on the recovery there. We just saw him involved on defense, and there's a fumble recovery on offense for Collado, as we'll get a look at that last play once again. And that one was blown up in the backfield by Oldbridge. A great job by their defensive front, swarming the back and getting in the face of the quarterback. There was no right decision on that read option. That play was dead on arrival. Good defensive stand there on first down by the Knights to force a loss of about 5 yards.
Yeah, a lot of options for Anderson in the backfield with the ball in his hands, but really no choice there, as Evans was there to meet everybody in the backfield and say hello. Makes it a 2nd down and 15. Now they work the sweep pitch over to Ramirez. Ramirez looking to gain the edge. Does initially, but gets bottled up and stood up by a host of matte black jerseys, led by, once again, Michael Kavas, and a gain of about 3 yards on the play.
Those jerseys right on the border of matte black, slate gray, but nice jerseys nonetheless. And much nicer for the Knights is the fact that they have Woodbridge set up with a 3rd down and long. It looks to be 3rd and about 12, and as a defense, this is the situation you're looking for. Shrink the playbook as much as you can heading into a 3rd down and long. The Knights are in that favorable spot right now.
And just like you said, this could be potential 4-down territory for Woodbridge, so they know they'd like to get at least half of this back. Anderson looking to his left, now has to shake off the pass rush. He is going to tuck it down and get bolted out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. Nice hit that time on the play by Thomas Kassoff. But it'll set up, Joe, about a 4th and 8 in that neighborhood.
I think they're going to kick it, Dave. No hesitation.
Yeah, trying to play that field position game and not give Oldbridge an excuse here.
And given the kick by Kyle Campos before under extreme duress, I think you have to give him a shot in this spot rather than go for it. That being said, you need to block for your punter. Do not allow Oldbridge to put that kind of pressure on Campos this time, and let him try and pin the Knights back deep in their own territory.
It is Rizzo, but once again an errant snap, and here we go, and put down hard, and Oldbridge will take over at the 30-yard line. There was a host of jerseys there, and it looked like Justin Valinati finished off Campos, and the first huge mistake made by Woodbridge sets up Oldbridge.
And we'll get a look at it on replay in just a moment. In live action, it was tough to tell if the snap was too low, if it was mishandled, and it was certainly too low. That ball did not reach Campos. It skipped about 2 or 3 yards in front of him, went through his legs, and after that, he never had a chance. The best he can do there is scoop it up and try and reach the line of scrimmage with a long throw. And then, of course, Oldbridge would have taken over at about their own 40. Instead, they take over at the Barons 30.
See if they can make this hurt now, as the give is underneath. No, Nugent takes it himself, looking for someone to come open, and now has no choice but to throw it away outside the hash marks.
Well, nothing's come easily for these quarterbacks so far. When they've looked to throw, they've been under pressure, and when they've looked to run, they've been met with some big hits. And I think a lot of the time you'll see a quarterback who's very dynamic on the ground, often able to get out of bounds without taking those hits, and that's really what separates the good running quarterbacks from the great ones, I think. Taking less hits, getting out of bounds, the ability to throw it on the move matters a lot as well, and those throws haven't been there so far tonight for these two quarterbacks.
Absolutely, and the pass rush has been there, and credit the Barons for not biting down on that fake. It's a Dixon underneath. Now they roll in motion, and it will be a design run for Nugent. Nugent able to get to the corner, powers down, gain of about 6 on the play. Nice job by Nugent to lower the shoulders.
From potential 3rd and long to now 3rd and manageable once again. And given where they are on the field, I'd suspect that this is 4-down territory. We will see if that is indeed the case, as we'll see Nugent head over toward his sideline and get some instruction from his head coach ahead of a big 3rd-down snap. Both of these teams have had some nice plays early in this game, but neither has been able to make that one big play that puts them on the scoreboard. Oldbridge looking to keep this drive alive, and they can do so here on a 3rd down and about 4.
And now on the table is, of course, the 4th down in this area of the field. We saw them miss a 37-yard field goal earlier. 2 downs here to get about a long 3. And Nugent, once again, same play design, and now ducks into a couple of blockers, and he's still on his feet, and Nugent is in for the touchdown.
No need to get out of bounds there, Dave, as Nugent heads all the way to the end zone. The horns sound and confetti fly for the 2nd time tonight following introductions, as Nugent is in for the rushing touchdown. That one officially will go down as about a 25-yard quarterback keeper for Nugent. He accelerated through the hole, had good blocking, and you'll get a look at that play once again right here. Leading the way was his running back out of the backfield. On that first block was Jaden Endaz, and he helps lead the way for his quarterback, who takes it in for 6.
Lucas Michael looking to add the point after here. Spot and hold is there, and Michael puts it through. No doubt about that one. And we are 7-0 here with 2:24 remaining in the opening quarter.
And that is exactly what Oldbridge is looking for in front of a home crowd opening week of the season against a team that defeated them last year on opening week when they met Woodbridge on the road. And Nugent, who has been heavily featured, unsurprisingly so far, in this Knights offense, gets them on the board with a long rushing touchdown. And when you can run it like that between the tackles from the quarterback spot, your offense is going to be tough to stop.
Absolutely. And that first score in the Oldbridge season is being sponsored by lettering.com. Order vinyl lettering with unmatched production efficiency. With 1-day turnaround and free shipping, we are unmatched when it comes to signage, boat lettering, mailboxes, window lettering, and of course, helmets and sports apparel. Free shipping always, and the best prices around. It's lettering.com for all of your lettering needs.
Signed, sealed, and delivered. 7 points on the board for the Knights. As we play on in this first quarter, we do not have a running clock or scoreboard here in the facility that I can see from up here in the press box.
Yes, there is.
There it is.
There is. A little bit.
Well, I couldn't see it through the window.
Blinded,
pane.
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit
in your blind spot there, but 2:24 remaining in the first quarter. And Joe, we saw it on camera with Nugent going back to his coach right before that 3rd down play call, and they might have seen something there on 2nd down to go right back to it. There's a short, high kick that is taken immediately and down by Jeremiah Allen. And Woodbridge will take over just outside their 35-yard line.
And that could be a very lonely spot to be in if you're Jeremiah Allen on what was a bit of a pooch kick, a bit further than a typical pooch kick. Usually those will skip on the turf. That one was sent in the air, but a short sky kick along the Oldbridge sideline. And Allen, if he doesn't catch that, he's about to be met by a host of Knights scrambling after that football. He wisely pulls in the kick and gets down quickly. Woodbridge will take over at their own 35-yard line.
Yeah, you got to love really pulling that out early in your season, too. Just giving Woodbridge so many things to think about there. And there is another one on special teams. They handled it well, but now they have to play from behind for the first time this season. It's 7-0 Oldbridge. And Woodbridge on their 3rd offensive drive, they went 3 and out on their last possession for the first time. We'll see Anderson work under center, and he's going to take it himself, and now the pitch option goes over to Beal. Beal's able to find some daylight, and he finds the sideline as well and gets driven out of bounds inside of Oldbridge territory. Nice job by Beal to find some room.
Beal's been real impressive early in this game, Dave, as he gets a big run on the triple option. Handoff faked up the middle. Beal flanking Anderson out of the backfield, and they just didn't have enough bodies there to stop them both, though it seems there that Beal did actually make a defender miss. It looked like one of the Knights beat his blocker and had a chance to get him, but Beal just too quick on his feet, gains the sideline, and picks up the first down, plus some more.
Yeah, it did step out before the 50-yard line. Ball spotted at the 48 to give us to Beal this time once again, who powers through the middle and gets about 5 yards.
Right now, the Barons feeding the hot hand in Beal. as he picks up another 5 on first down, but he's put them in pretty good positions running on early downs. Obviously picked up a first down on the triple option, the play ahead of that last rush, and 2nd and 5, a good spot to be in for this Barons offense, now trailing by 7 points.
Yeah, I misspoke last time when I said that Anderson was the leading rusher on the team last year. It was indeed Beal. They both were tied with the lead in touchdowns last season, but Beal with 593 total yards rushing last season. And the give, once again, is straight up the middle, and now breaking out of 1 tackle and 2, and put down finally is Dante DeFonso, the senior, getting to the 35-yard line. Another big gain on the ground.
That run a bit more of a power run, Dave. We've seen Beal moving his feet, stumbling through the first hit, but that time DeFonso getting downhill quickly between the tackles, accelerating up the field with a nice burst, and carried a pair of defenders forward to about the Oldbridge 35-yard line. So Woodbridge marching down the field rather quickly, exclusively keeping the football on the ground right now.
Gain of 11 on the play for DeFonso. A change of pace in at running back and giving a short breather to Jameer Beal. We have whistles here. And from the far side, we have our first timeout of the game. Woodbridge has called for time.
And even 1 minute on the clock in this first quarter with that first timeout being called by the Knights. But Woodbridge unfazed by falling behind in this game. Obviously, they're down a touchdown here as they look to even up the score, but they have come out aggressively on the ground this drive, running hard, running downhill, and forcing the secondary of the Knights to make some tackles over the course of a game. If you can continue to break runs into the second level, you're going to have success. One could make the case that if you're running in the second level, you've already been successful.
Absolutely. And 1 minute to go in the first quarter, and Woodbridge on the move, sensing the need for a response, and they've done it exclusively on the ground here. And that's something that we've seen still very early in this game, but neither team really been able to throw the ball with the exception of a couple of screen and flare passes early. And so you think both coaches here looking to wage war right up the heart of the defense and just continue to pound the ball down and down again. Anderson once again on the center, and he will pitch to Beal. Beal working between the tackles, powers forward for about a gain of 3 on the play. It's Evans making the stop.
And that was a really good tackle there on that play by Zamir Evans. He was able to take Beal down by the ankles, and that's not something that many defenders have been able to do in this game. And we've seen very quick feet by Beal. He's been able to sort of leapfrog those low tackle attempts, not exactly going airborne, but keeping his legs churning and getting over the arms of the defenders, trying to take him down low. Not that time, and credit goes to Evans on that play for making the stop.
Perhaps one more play here of this first quarter, and then we'll have our first break here as we have 15 seconds and counting. Anderson working out of the shotgun once again. The fake and the run up the middle by Anderson. He is stopped right at the 30-yard line. Minimal gain. They will set up a 3rd down and 5, but that will do it for the first quarter. So we will step aside, take a break here. A word from our sponsors. When we come back, we bring you second quarter action. Oldbridge on top of Woodbridge, 7-0. Actually, we will keep it right here during the break and let you know that our second quarter is being sponsored by Oldbridge Pizzeria. Established in 1978, Oldbridge Pizzeria offers the finest Italian cuisine in Oldbridge and the surrounding communities. Every item, including our pizza dough, is made fresh daily with only the finest ingredients. Order now, get your food by halftime. Enjoy the rest of the game or stop on in anytime at 3165 US Highway 9 in Oldbridge, or place your order now at oldbridgepizza.com.
Making me hungry, Dave. I could go for some Oldbridge pizza. Do they deliver up to the press box? It's a bit tough to get in here tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to have to get through a sea of people in order to get here. 25-yard run by Nugent is the difference in the first quarter, staking Oldbridge to a 7-0 lead. The point after, of course, successful, but Woodbridge looking to respond. 3rd down and 5 from the 30. Anderson out of the shotgun, fakes the give to Beal, and now pitches it over, and a great open field tackle on DeFonso will set up a 4th down on that play. And could be mistaken, but that looked like it was Thomas Kasoff, the junior, making the great tackle. Justin Valinati in on the stop as well. 4th down and 3, Joe, and here we go. Big play in the game.
And that was a really tough spot to be in as a defender on an island, well outside the tackle box, one-on-one with the halfback, and a big tackle there brings up 4th down. It's 4th and short, and Dave, I think that leaves just about the entire playbook on the table.
I do. You wonder here if Anderson will put it up or if they will continue to rely on the run. Beal is the only runner in the back as both teams pointing in each other's direction. They'll conference for just a moment.
It's a really big call, and it looks like it's going against Woodbridge. They're backing up 5.
They sure are. So a 4th and 3 becomes a 4th and 8. Whatever movement there was, it was on the far side of the field. So here we go, 4th and 8, and now perhaps you do have to put the ball up in the air.
If I'm the Knights here, I don't think you can let them run for a 1st down in this spot.
Yeah.
Make them put it in the air.
And we see if they'll try to bring in some pressure here against Anderson, who, when he's had a clean pocket, has been able to throw some strikes down the field. But now we'll have some time here.
Clean pockets have been very tough to come by tonight in the passing game. It's a lot to ask of your offensive line in a spot like this where you have to pick up the 1st.
Motion once again for Anderson, who will lead enough for the 1st down. Great look in the flat, and making the catch was Brian Anderson, the fellow senior. He just went right to the sticks, Joe, and a nice pass there on the sideline.
Well, that's a timing pattern. An out route, you know where you have to get to pick up the 1st down. That route well run straight to the sticks, and that was a strike on time and on target from Anderson. A great job by all parties on that completion, and you see it there. There wasn't a huge window, but if you're a quarterback, that's more than enough for you when you're playing at a high level, and the 1st down is picked up by the Barons.
Simple 3-step drop and a good timing pattern there. Once again, motion from right to left. Anderson looking perhaps the same play, drops it off to Anderson once again. He's sandwiched between a couple of Knights, but good enough for another 1st down as Valinati came in on the stop.
So back-to-back pass plays for Woodbridge, and they look to that right sideline on both of them. The first, the out route that picked up the 1st down. That one, a quick stick route, but that was indeed enough to pick up another 1st down. It's 1st and 10 from about the 14-yard line. So the Barons continue to methodically drive down the field. They got here on the ground. They have stayed here through the air.
Yeah, so it's 1st and 10 out to 13, so a chance to pick up a 1st down without the benefits of scoring here. Lot on the table. Beal once again the lone setback. And the give is to Beal right up the middle, and there to meet him at the 10-yard line. And the first one there was number 51, Amari Alsbrook. Alsbrook came into the game wearing number 72, but had his number changed to 51 a couple of minutes before we started this one. 2nd down, just inside the 10. It'll be a long 6 yards.
On that last play, Dave, the Knights were adamant that they had recovered the football, but they're petitioning to no avail as the officials emphatically ruling Barons football. That brings up 2nd down and about 6. As the Barons now deeper into the red zone will snap this one from about the 9-yard line.
2 wide receivers, both on the far side, as they go in tight from there, and dropping the shoulder and plowing straight ahead was Anderson on the keeper. Gets to about the 6-yard line. It'll be a 3rd and 3.
Quarterback power on 2nd down sets up a 3rd and short. And this is the situation that the Barons were in before, 3rd and short. However, they committed a penalty that then turned it into a 4th and 8. They were able to convert through the air, but I'm curious to see if the play call on that 3rd and 3 earlier will be the play call they go to in this spot now with a 3rd and 3, of course hoping to avoid a pre-snap penalty.
Connor Long running onto the field for Oldbridge. A little bit more power right in the middle. He'll line up right opposite the football. 3rd down and 3. Plenty on the table. They stay in tight once again. Anderson out of the shotgun. He's going to keep it himself. He ducks down inside the 5. He is going to be very close, Joe. Peeling themselves off of him, but a good tackle made. Once again, that was Kassoff on the stop, number 42, and this will be really close here. 4th down and maybe less than 1.
It's 4th and 1, Dave, and on that last play, it looked like Anderson also had the option to throw the football and swing it out to DeFonso in the flat. In real time, it was tough to tell if he had enough room to get the first down, but he certainly had space in front of him if Anderson elected to swing that pass into the flat. We'll see it here on the replay. I think he had it, Dave. I think he walks in for a touchdown. They had good blocking in front of him. And as timeout is called, we'll get one more look at it here on replay.
Yeah, give you a chance at home to make the call as well. Second timeout taken by the Barons.
You know, I think perhaps he was a bit too far into the carry. I think on first look, maybe he thought he didn't have it. But in real time, I thought he did. And those are decisions that, over the course of a game, could be difference makers. It could be nothing, as it's 4th and 1. And I think the way Beal is running this game, you probably put it in his hands to pick up 1 yard. Either that, or perhaps the Barons go back to the quarterback draw. I think those are the two most likely play calls in this spot. And you have to think, Dave, if that's my thought process up here, the Knights could be thinking the same thing, and perhaps the Barons may throw a changeup in this spot.
Yeah, the Barons have really shown a lot of different looks here. Obviously, the keeper, the give underneath, the pitch out on the option. So DeFonso is also on the table, and they remain in the same formation, tight, with 2 wide receivers out to the right, short side of the field. And it's going to be a direct snap to DeFonso. DeFonso missed it, now wants to pitch it back. That ball is on the carpet, and Oldbridge recovers.
So they tried the halfback direct snap. I didn't notice if perhaps there was a difference in alignment between Anderson and his 2 backs. We'll get a look at it on replay in just a moment. But either way, the Knights defense comes up huge with their backs up against their own goal line. And taking a look on replay, it looks like that was just a traditional direct snap to the halfback who was under center. And nothing doing on that play as the snap was fumbled, and that left that play without a chance. Credit to the Knights defense, and what was a good drive by Woodbridge comes to an end in very disappointing fashion.
Yeah, they were able to convert 1 4th down on that drive, but not that one from in close. And, you know, look, hindsight is 20/20, and we do a lot of it up here in the broadcast booth.
It's our job.
Yeah, but with Anderson running the ball the way he has been, and with Beal doing the rest on the power, especially making the first and second man miss and plowing ahead for positive yards, you wonder there why DeFonso is lining up under center and taking that snap, which he never really did field cleanly. And obviously it's a busted play, and it just got worse from there. So we have a penalty here, a pre-snap penalty call. Looked like maybe too many men in the huddle.
Yeah.
And they'll back this up half the distance.
Well, remember, Dave, I said ahead of that 4th down play, perhaps they try and show the Knights something that they hadn't seen yet. We thought maybe QB power. We thought maybe hand it off to Beal. Instead, they went with something different. And the question always becomes early in the season, how many times have they run it in practice when the outcome is like that?
The give underneath and really nowhere to go that time. Looked like Dixon was bottled up almost immediately and tried to dance around the line of scrimmage. A loss of about 1 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 16.
Well, things getting a bit dangerous for the Knights now. They had the pre-snap penalty ahead of 1st down. They lose several yards on that 1st down play, and now we have an injured Baron on the field who will be attended to. But if you're the Knights here, I think that helps you. Backed up against your own end zone, 2nd and very long. You get a chance to talk this one over and figure out a way to escape from this situation backed up against your own end zone. Even though the Barons didn't score, there's still plenty of time left in the 2nd quarter. 7 minutes and 11 seconds. If they can get the football back, they maintain control in the battle of field position in a 1-possession game. That battle of field position shifts to mean a bit less if Woodbridge falls behind by 2 scores.
Jeremiah Allen is the injured Baron on the play, and that's why we have a stoppage here. Joe, why don't we take a timeout, throw it to break. When we come back, more Oldbridge High School football right here on the PDF Sports Network. It is 7-0 Knights over the Barons.
At Bagel Boy Bagel Shop in Oldbridge, we're more than just bagels. Come visit us at 2329 County Road 516, where we bake our bagels and bread fresh daily, have the freshest fruit and veggie platters, and an assortment of sandwiches and plates that are sure to satisfy. Bagel Boy is a proud sponsor of all things Oldbridge. Go Knights and go to Bagel Boy. 2329 County Road 516 and at bagelboyonline.com.
East Coast Trophies and Awards has been serving your awards needs since 1986 and is now a proud sponsor of the PDF Sports Network. From sports-specific trophies and plaques to corporate and business promotions and gifts, East Coast Trophies and Awards is your one-stop shop for all of your crowning achievements, and they always meet the right price. Contact Chris today at 848-223-7071 or visit them at www.eastcoastawards.com.
Back to live action here. Oldbridge, and now movement up front by Woodbridge. We'll give them an automatic 5 yards here. I think that was an easy one across the way. 7:04 remaining in the second quarter. Go ahead, Joe.
That yardage matters quite a bit when you have an offense backed up against their own end zone. So a bit more breathing room now for Oldbridge, and you have to think that they had a lengthy discussion about their approach here coming out of that last stoppage.
Quickly, they get right back to the line of scrimmage here on second, just over 10 yards. Design keeper for Nugent. Nugent has some space. Can he get to the corner? He does. There is a flag down in the vicinity of holding. Nugent was very close to the first down. Looked like he might have gotten it. But this one looks like it's coming back, Joe.
And if that is indeed the case, that one hurts. Your quarterback once again forced into a foot race, took a hit, spilled onto his own sideline, and it looks like that effort may be fruitless following this discussion between the officials. But the flag came out behind that run from Nugent, so we'll see exactly how far back they would send him. And I think the flag occurred well behind the line of scrimmage in the offensive backfield.
Yep. It looked like Nugent, however, had run past the line of scrimmage when the flag was tossed. So this is, if this penalty occurred up the field, it won't be as bad as a 10-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Of course, the spot of the ball was about the 10, so it would be half the distance anyway. 6:56 remaining in the first half. Oldbridge on a 25-yard run by its quarterback, Nugent. The difference in the scoring right now, 7-0. And now we have the official signal. And it is holding. See it on your screen. And another
personal foul as well
against Oldbridge, yep.
So I would think that the personal foul occurred in the bench area after the play. That would be my guess. I didn't see anything during the play that would lead me to believe a personal foul was called for something that occurred on the field. I think something transpired in the bench area after the play was over, and now Oldbridge backed all the way up to the 3-yard line in a really tough spot here.
Yep, so it'll be 2nd down and 18. The first down marker's at the 21-yard line. But at this point, you want to get the ball out of the shadow of your own goalpost. And, yeah, you know what, Joe? I saw at the end of that play a lot of Oldbridge players moved back near the 50 and 40 yard line. I think they might have had way too many players up near the 20, 25-yard line, and maybe there was some extra chatter that was going on in the official's ear. And now we have a timeout called. I believe that was taken by Oldbridge, kind of settle things down. First timeout taken by the Knights, the Barons down to 1 timeout.
And Dave, those familiar with this facility will know this already, but if you take a look behind the benches, there is black turf in that legal area for the players to stand. And if we go back to the replay, perhaps we can see it, whether or not players were outside of that area with the black turf. If they're outside of that, that is a personal foul, and it didn't look like it as we're getting a look at the replay on the monitor right now. So I don't know if that would be the reason that the flag was thrown. Either way, there is a designated area behind each bench that the players are allowed to stand in during action.
So after a long delay to sort out the penalties, 2nd down and 18, Oldbridge from their own 3-yard line will have Nugent working out of the shotgun. He looks right first, now left, now has to dance in the back of the end zone and looking short and essentially throwing that one away. Nugent, a lot of white jerseys right in front of him. Surprised he didn't throw that one away sooner, Joe.
Well, Dave, I think the defense was committed to not letting him run it.
Yeah.
If he was going to beat them scrambling from left to right as a left-handed thrower, I think that was something that the Woodbridge defense could live with. But on that particular play, Nugent never crossed the line of scrimmage. That's something else that's important. They never gave him a chance to take off, and Nugent wisely got rid of that football and threw it away. However, that sets up 3rd down and very long. You love to pick up something here to make it a bit easier for your punter.
Yeah, at least to the original line of scrimmage, which is at the 11-yard line, the 10.5-yard line. Right now, they really have no room for a punt after this play. We'll see what they draw up here on 3rd and 18 from their own 3-yard line. Nugent with some extra instructions. The give up the middle and scampering out of harm's way and getting back to the original line of scrimmage were the Knights. And it gets them some more room there as Rizzo gets another carry after a couple of good ones in the first quarter. But on 4th down and 10, Oldbridge will have to punt this one away. And once again, Woodbridge fixing to get in really good field position here with the clock winding with 6:20 to go.
And we've seen what can happen on special teams plays. And if you're Oldbridge here, you have to make sure you execute on this one. Clean snap, strong blocking. There is room for your punter. He is not in a very dangerous area.
We've seen Nugent roll to the left to get a kickoff. This was a line driver, skips off the turf, but played on a couple of bounces by Anderson. Brian Anderson running towards the right, tries to dip in between a couple tacklers and is successful and gets it inside the 30-yard line.
And Dave, it was tough to tell. I thought there was a chance that punt was blocked off the foot of the punter. We'll get a look here on replay. It was awfully close. You might have to slow it down a bit as well to get a clean look. Let's see. Really tough to tell. I have to think it was partially blocked, Dave, because that ball had a trajectory that you don't see often. Here's one more look at it.
Had some good spin to it,
It was blocked,
though.
Dave.
It was blocked? Yeah.
It was blocked.
All right.
That was definitely blocked.
Good job with the naked eyes. And ball's at the 28-yard line of Oldbridge. So on the short field, Woodbridge looking to cash in. We are under 6 minutes to play in the second quarter. Anderson with Beal in the backfield. In motion is Barner. And looking to tuck it down and run with it is Derek Anderson. He finds the 25-yard line, lost the ball, was able to get it back at the 24-yard line, getting him about 4 on the play. Very eventful 4-yard gain for Derek Anderson.
No question about that. They had a spread shotgun look, pre-snap motion out of the slot on the right side. A lot of the time, you'll see that pre-snap motion in an effort to misdirect the defense, and then you hand the ball off to that right side where the receiver was coming from. Not on this play. They look to pass it, and there you see Anderson quickly and decisively accelerating up the field. That's some high level of coordination to lose the ball, scoop it back up, and get down without taking a hit.
Yep, with 4 gray jerseys crashing in. So a gain of 4 on the play. 2nd down and 6 from the opposite hash. Lone wide receiver on the far side is Brian Anderson. They stack him up here on the left, but rolling out to the right is Anderson, and he finds Brian Anderson near the sideline, and that's another 1st down.
And you have to like what you've seen from that connection between Anderson and Anderson on these last couple of drives. We had the 2 completions on the previous drive, one coming on a 4th down, and then here, after what was a bit of a tumultuous moment following the fumble and recovery by the quarterback, Derek Anderson, he's able to find Brian Anderson on another route, breaking toward that right sideline. They seem to like that area of the field, and I think as a defense, you have to have taken note of that by this point.
Yep. Picking on that right sideline. Barner once again in motion. Now the look is to the left side, and short in the flat. Great job of breaking that one up by Noah Rios. The intended receiver was Tolliver. And we have a whistle here down, far sideline. It looks like there's going to be a penalty call against Oldbridge. The flag dropped at about the 15-yard line where most of the players are congregating.
That was good tight coverage on that last play by Rios. And we've seen that Derek Anderson, not shy about throwing into some tight windows. He is not a fearful passer, willing to take shots in those one-on-one situations. And We saw that earlier in the game on that seam route. Ball a bit overthrown, but he was willing to take the chance in one-on-one coverage, was willing to do so again in that spot, gave his receiver an opportunity, better coverage by the defensive back Rios, as the discussion between the officials is ongoing regarding that last flag.
Possibly where the penalty took place here. I wasn't sure what the call was on that, never did pick it up. 4:43 remaining in the first half. The only score, a 25-yard touchdown run by Nugent for Oldbridge in the first quarter. And they are going to move this one up just short of the first down marker. And down marker says first down, so 1st and 2. I don't believe that could be correct. Probably a 2nd and 2. Rolling out, looking end zone, elevating. Did he come down with it? Touchdown! Woodbridge is on the board. Isaiah Tolliver went up and got it.
And Dave, I just said it. Anderson more than willing to take shots one-on-one and give his receivers a chance. That time, Isaiah Tolliver goes up in the front corner of the end zone near the pylon and makes a spectacular catch. That ball was put in a spot where only he could get it, and with a big receiver isolated against the DB, that's a look you love as a quarterback and as an offensive coordinator. Nicely executed by the Barons. They are within an extra point of tying the score at 7.
And Tolliver a chance to tie it up. Scores the touchdown and comes right back out to kick the point after. Spot is down, and that one is right through the uprights and good. 7-7 is our score with 4:37 remaining in the first half.
Tolliver, a 6'2", 195-pound target. He is a senior, and he comes up big in that spot, giving a big target to his quarterback, Derek Anderson, who's able to put the ball right on the money. And that's some answer by Woodbridge. They didn't come through with the score immediately following the Oldbridge touchdown. However, they did drive nearly the length of the field on their previous drive. They were stopped on the 4th down fumble, and right there, they get the ball back in great field position. This time they capitalize, and this has been some back-and-forth contest to this point in the first half with 4:37 remaining ahead of halftime.
Yeah, 100%, and of course, the thing that sticks out about that, Joe, is the drive only 27 yards in total. Of course, Woodbridge doing what they needed to do, backing up Oldbridge, forcing them to punt from the shadow of their own end zone, the block on the punt, the decent return by Brian Anderson, and you got the short field, and 3 plays later, you're in the end zone.
Can't ask for much more than that. And I think something else that was impressive on that drive, their willingness to go to the air. We've seen them do such a great job on the ground throughout this game. However, they had not been able to break through, relying solely upon the rushing attack. On that drive, we saw Anderson more than willing to take chances, to give his receivers opportunities to make plays. And the Barons wideouts coming through in big spots time and time again in this first half. That time it was Tolliver coming through with the big touchdown grab.
High school football right here on the PDF Sports Network. David Pizzuto alongside Joe Foreman as we get set in a 7-7 game to restart things here. Watching it dribble all the way inside the 10 was Diaz. He picks it up and is able to get possibly back to the 15. But Diaz, I thought maybe Joe was waiting for that one to skip out of bounds, but it never broke left.
It didn't. And we saw this game open with great field position for the Knights. Since that point, not so great field position on more than one drive. I believe each of their last 3 drives have started inside of their own 20-yard line. The last one started at about their own 11, nearly inside the 10. This drive will start at about the 15, as you said, Dave. So the ball officially spotted at the Oldbridge 15. And with 4:33 to go in the half, this very well could be their last opportunity to put points on the board going into halftime. Keep in mind, the Barons receive the second half kickoff. They now find themselves in an advantageous position.
Yep, and if there has been a theme of this first half, penalties have derailed some drives for both of these teams, but namely the Knights have been really interrupted in their progress. Remember the personal foul on the last drive and the holding call that negated a big run by Nugent. The give is underneath this time, and they are able to scamper forward for a couple of yards as Jeremiah Dixon once again has his number called. The ball spotted at the 20. It'll be a second down and a long 5, short 6.
Bit of a hurry-up offense here for the Knights.
Sure do. 4:15 and counting. The keeper by Nugent sidesteps one defender, breaks into the open field at about the 26-yard line. And will it be enough for the first down? Yes. Now the officials asking the chain gang to move it along. Nice initial sidestep by Nugent.
And that was a good job by Aiden Jones to read that play correctly. Great job by Nugent to make him miss, plus 2 more.
4 minutes on the nose remaining in the first half. Nugent, good clean pocket, nobody open downfield. Now looking towards the sideline and too far extended in the direction of Olivencia. It's like Nugent got spilled at the end of that play as well. Not quite sure. His lineman helping him up. 3:52 remaining, 2nd and 10.
That was Tyler Simkovich applying the pressure, the 5'9", 180-pound senior, and he was bearing down on Nugent, forced him to get rid of that football. There was a bit of room along the left sideline. He was taking a shot down the field, but Simkovich made sure that ball was not on target as it fell harmlessly incomplete.
The way Nugent has run the football, I'm surprised he didn't tuck that one down. As soon as he saw that, really nothing developing downfield. But in any event, 2nd and 10, he now has a short discussion with Dixon in the backfield. And now they work it up to the line of scrimmage. 4 wide receivers set. Spread formation, 2 on each side. The give underneath to Dixon. Dixon sidesteps to the right and hammers forward for about a gain of 2. Minimal gain on the play. It'll set up a 3rd and 8. Coming in to make the play was Aiden Jones in the white jersey. Now 3:30 remaining. And Oldbridge will take their time here on 3rd and long.
Well, coming into this drive, if you're Oldbridge, objective number 1, obviously put some points on the scoreboard. You'd love to take a lead into halftime. However, you'd like a lengthy drive to try and make sure Woodbridge doesn't have another chance. They now face a 3rd and long, faced with perhaps giving the ball back to the Barons.
Back in the shotgun is Nugent. Does have a clean pocket. Looks in the flat, and that one was too long for Rizzo in the flat. Just missed him. Rizzo would have had some open space ahead of him, likely the first down and a lot more, but Nugent just couldn't find him.
I don't like to speak in absolutes, Dave, but I think Rizzo would have had a touchdown if that ball's on target. Yeah, I think he had the entire near sideline to himself. We'll get a look on the replay.
We'll see how much.
Oh, yeah. Wow. He's gone. I think he's gone if he catches it. One defensive back, maybe. You also have to keep in mind, too, even if they take a perfect angle, if you're one-on-one in the open field, he can swerve you back and forth, take you in each direction. It's really tough to make that tackle on an island, and we saw Rizzo's open field ability with the football in his hands on that opening kick return. It was ultimately fumbled. That fumble overruled, but we've seen what he can do. I would suspect he takes that to the house if he catches it.
They've picked up the flag here that was thrown very early into the formation of that last play. 3:11 to go. Nugent back to punt it away, and does. That's a much better kick. It backs Anderson up to the 36, where he fair catches that one, saves time from trickling down. 3:05 remaining in the first half. But Woodbridge will go right back to work on offense.
And if you're Woodbridge, I think you're going to need what you did well on the last drive, success through the air. They were willing to pass. I believe they ran it just once against 4 pass attempts on that last drive, maybe 3 pass attempts, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, through the air, they did a great job, and with just 3 minutes on the clock, I think that's something they'll look to again here at some point in this drive if they're going to perhaps take a lead into halftime, something that seemed rather improbable just a few short minutes ago.
Absolutely. They'll come out with the usual cast of characters on this offense. A lot of playmakers here on this Barons team. Led, of course, by Derek Anderson. Senior signal caller. Will operate out of the shotgun and will look to pass all the way. He does have a nice clean pocket. Looking in the far sideline area, the catch is made. Big gain, over 20 yards on the play. And once again, it was Brian Anderson hooking up.
That area of the field has been very productive. Anderson to Anderson on the far side. And right now, the Knights don't seem to have an answer for it. And I think respecting the run oftentimes opens up those opportunities. You have to creep in just a bit. That widens the throwing window a bit more and gives Anderson the opportunity to hit Anderson for another nice gain.
Still plenty of time here. Over 2.5 minutes to go as the pitch goes to Beal. Beal operates and dances in between a couple of defenders, gets about 5 or 6 yards on the play. Once again, Valinati in on the stop along with Kassoff.
And they've had some good success throwing that way. wisely, they then set up a run that way. Keep the defense honest. Let them know you're willing to run it in that direction. But as they've had so much success through the air, it becomes that much more difficult for the defense to stop the run headed to that same area of the field.
Closer to a 2nd and 6 on this play. Anderson once again almost looking to the right exclusively down the sideline, and that one is incomplete.
And I think Jameer Beal saved Anderson from a potential big hit with a block on that play. Anderson wisely getting the football out. He took a shot down the field. It looked like the defensive back on the play may have put his hands on the receiver as that ball was about to fall to the turf. But there you see the big block, and you love to see that from your halfback, especially out of the shotgun. He's in a good blocking stance already, and it paid off on that last throw. Anderson does not take the hit, gets the football away, but that does set up a 3rd and long and a chance maybe for the Knights to get it back one last time. You'd love that if you're Oldbridge.
I was going to say, an interesting moment in the game here. 2:05 remaining, plenty of time, and it's a 3rd down and a long 6. Anderson, and that one's off the fingertips of Brian Anderson. He had 3 and 4 jerseys bearing down on him. Waiting to greet him was Christopher Benford, but that's incomplete. It'll be 4th down and a long 6, short 7. And you have to believe here that Woodbridge will punt this one.
I certainly think so. And Woodbridge with just 1 timeout remaining. The Knights of Oldbridge with 2. You'd love to pin the Knights back if you're the Barons in this spot. But if you're Oldbridge and you're able to get a nice return or perhaps benefit from another special teams miscue, you may have one final chance to go into halftime with a lead.
Remember the bad snap the last time Woodbridge punted the football. And now we're going to have a whistle against Oldbridge as just inexplicably Thomas Kassoff just stepped right over the line. No real reason to do that, Joe. It's 4th down and 7. And now you give Woodbridge something to think about. It's 4th down and a short 2, long 1. And
I think they go for it here, Dave.
Now they might,
I think they
the
will.
Ball at the 34-yard line. Looks like the first down marker's just outside the 32.
There's just 2 minutes left. So if you do turn it over on downs, you still have plenty of field.
Well, let's see if Woodbridge can make that miscue hurt. Penalties have hurt the Knights in this game. And we do have whistles here. Looks like a timeout will be called by the Knights, who want to talk things over. They utilize their 2nd timeout. 2:01 remaining in the half.
And at the very least, Dave, putting the Knights in that position forces them to use that timeout. If you do get stopped here, Oldbridge now has 1 less timeout to utilize during the final about 2 minutes of this first half. Officially 2:01 on the clock heading into this 4th down snap. But forcing the Knights to use that timeout could prove consequential if they get the football back. And I think if you're Woodbridge, once again, 4th and short, anything on the table.
We got some hijinks going on in the stands close to us here, and we will see if time will be taken in this game to sort out some of the things that are going on the sideline, or not on the sideline, in the stands.
A high level of investment in this one, Dave, and sometimes that doesn't always lead to positive interactions.
Well, both fan bases are on opposite sides of the stands. We are on the side of Oldbridge, but we are playing here 2:01 as public safety makes their way into the stands. A big 4th down happening on the field. Motion from right to left. Anderson once again looking for that sideline, and the catch is made. Great move to gain the 1st down. Helmet off. Looks like we're going to have a face mask penalty to go along with this. And how about that, Joe? On a 4th down and long 7, you get called for the offside or encroachment. Take your pick. And Woodbridge turns it into a 1st down and a lot more down the field.
Yeah, that face mask was as blatant as it gets. And I like what the Knights did defensively there. They committed to not allowing Brian Anderson to catch the football. It was 4th and short, and you thought perhaps they might look to run it. However, in that spot, they elected to throw it. Anderson was well covered off the start, but Derek Anderson, able to buy some time, found Anderson on the sideline. A lot of Anderson involved in that play, and a lot more success for this Woodbridge offense on 4th down as they convert yet again.
Right, and only 7 seconds come off the clock, and that ball itself, in real estate anyway, moves up almost 30 yards down the field. So now, if you're Woodbridge, you have plenty of time. With the ball spotted at Oldbridge's 15-yard line, obviously they can get a first down without scoring a touchdown here. So they have plenty of time to run as many plays as they want. And what a moment for them if they can punch this one in right before half. Make for a very interesting halftime locker room. On the option towards the left side, the catch is made once again by Tolliver about the 5-yard line. That'll be close to a first down, and if it is, clock will stop automatically as they reset the ball.
Well, Tolliver, clearly a receiver who is able to go up high and bring it down with no regard for his own safety at times. He is exposing his ribs going up for that reception. He is not well protected by the sideline as he was on the touchdown reception, but he has proven himself to be another very valuable target for Derek Anderson. And as he gets involved, it becomes tougher to cover Brian Anderson on the opposite side of the field. So Woodbridge doing some good things offensively, yet it has not led to a lead on the scoreboard to this point. Chance to change that here.
First and goal from just outside the 4-yard line. Under center will work Anderson. The pitch was almost intercepted in the backfield, and Beal is spilled at about the 13-yard line. Oldbridge was in the back pocket of both Beal and Anderson on that play.
Well, I thought he pitched the ball behind Beal. We'll get a look at it on replay. I'm not sure if that was the defender who disrupted that or if he pitched the ball in the opposite direction that Beal expected. I think he tossed it in the opposite direction that Beal expected. He had his momentum taking him from right to left, and I think the pitch forced Beal to reach back out to his right. And
that
honestly,
almost had
Dave,
to stop. Yep.
That might have saved the play from disaster because if that ball is pitched in front of him, there were defenders there to blow up that play. And honestly, I think given where the defense for the Knights was on that play, that was the best case scenario.
Yeah, you almost wonder if some of that was, some of the rush coming in kind of thwarted the pitch. But either way, Woodbridge has taken their final timeout. That last timeout was taken by the Barons. There are 48 seconds remaining in the first half. And we go from a first and goal inside the 5 to now a second and goal at about the 13-yard line. Make that the 12. So now interesting here because a run is not off the table, although you cannot stop the clock anymore. And Anderson, of course, a threat to run the ball himself, but likely will have to put the ball in the air at some point here.
Well, Dave, judging by how the Knights reacted to that play, I don't think they would fall for a run fake, but boy, if they had faked that toss and rolled out the quarterback on a naked bootleg, I think there's a chance he walked in for a touchdown.
Absolutely. Anderson split out to the right side, and that's where Derek Anderson will roll. He looks to about the 5-yard line, and in there, untouched, and walking it into the end zone was Dante DeFonso.
And we've seen the Barons utilize so many different weapons on offense tonight. Beal, DeFonso, Anderson, Tolliver, all of them getting involved down around the goal line. And this time, it is DeFonso coming up with the touchdown reception. They do get the quarterback rolling out on this particular play. However, it is a pass this time, as we probably expected, given the result of the last play. And even with the defense likely knowing that a pass was coming, the Barons are still able to put it into the end zone for the touchdown. They now lead by 6 with a chance to make it 7.
Yeah, you got the levels concept going there, Joe, as you had Brian Anderson in this department. That one's blocked right at the line of scrimmage, and the ball dead right there. So the PAT unsuccessful, and the score will be 13-7 with 41.9 seconds remaining in the first half.
And that play may become a big one later in this game, something to think about moving forward in this one is when you have the extra points go in a routine fashion, up and in, you can look ahead later in the game and not have to worry about perhaps having a 2-point play at the ready. But now, if you're Woodbridge and Oldbridge does eventually go ahead by 8, that's something you'll have to keep in mind, of course, assuming the Knights are able to convert on their extra point tries. But that play one that could prove to be a big one later. However, with 1 timeout and 42 seconds Does Oldbridge try and put points on the board here? Or do you think they just take this one to halftime down 6?
I think with the way it's gone in the second quarter especially, you might just want to run a couple of plays here. If you manage to break one on the outside, get a big gain out of it, you still have that one timeout remaining, and maybe that's the decision you make. But I don't know. If I'm Coach Donahue, probably taking this one into the halftime locker room down by 7, thinking plenty of things we can clean up for the second half, and still very much in this game, no doubt about it. Woodbridge has been gifted with some good field position in this first half as well. They certainly won the battle of field position and yardage, like you mentioned before, Joe.
And on this kickoff as well, how do you send this one away if you're Woodbridge? They tried the sky kick before.
Well, they've been doing a good job on these kickoffs, getting it in deep. That one's a little bit short. That Rizzo's able to take it about the 15. He lowers his head and is put down at about the 30. So with 36.6 seconds to go and one timeout, you would expect Oldbridge to at least feign.
And that was a good job in kick coverage by the Barons. It looked like Rizzo was trying to accelerate through a running lane, but I think it was Simkovic and Campos who made sure that he didn't have the option to do so. They were engaged against one blocker, the two of them, and they did a nice job making sure that both of them could not be picked up by one man.
So Nugent will work out of the shotgun, and he will give to Dixon underneath. Dixon has nowhere to go, meets a host of tacklers. First there was Johnny Collado, whose name we've mentioned a bunch, and the clock continues to run here. Oldbridge will not stop the clock as we hit 20 seconds remaining in the first half. They will try to potentially run one more play. Nugent getting the call from the sideline. This will be the final play if they get one off. 7 seconds remaining, and looks like no urgency here by Oldbridge, and they will take this into the locker room down by 7. So we have reached, down by 6. We have reached halftime here, 24 minutes in the books, and at the half, it's 13-7 in favor of Woodbridge, coming back from being down 7-0 in the first. Joe and I will step aside. When we come back, we'll break down the first half, get you ready for half number 2 live here from Lombardi Field on the campus of Oldbridge High School. You're watching Oldbridge football right here on the PDF Sports Network. Stay with us.
At Bagel Boy Bagel Shop in Oldbridge, we're more than just bagels. Come visit us at 2329 County Road 516, where we bake our bagels and bread fresh daily, have the freshest fruit and veggie platters, and an assortment of sandwiches and plates that are sure to satisfy. Bagel Boy is a proud sponsor of all things Oldbridge. Go Knights and go to Bagel Boy. 2329 County Road 516 and at bagelboyonline.com.
East Coast Trophies and Awards has been serving your awards needs since 1986 and is now a proud sponsor of the PDF Sports Network. From sports-specific trophies and plaques to corporate and business promotions and gifts, East Coast Trophies and Awards is your one-stop shop for all of your crowning achievements, and they always meet the right price. Contact Chris today at 848-223-7071 or visit them at www.eastcoastawards.com.
Getting a home loan shouldn't feel like an obstacle course. At CMG Home Loans, getting a loan is simple. Our loan officers are here for you every step of the way. With over 2,000 5-star reviews, when you're ready to buy or refi, we'll work together to find the loan you need for the home you love. CMG Home Loans. Simplified, trusted, committed.
When it comes to buying and selling a home, do it with Peter Hunt's Home Team, powered by Century 21. For years, Peter has dedicated his life to the real estate industry, offering help and care to all of his clients. With experience and proven results, Peter is an award-winning realtor and the top producer for Century 21 Action Plus. A resident of Oldbridge, put Peter to work at selling your home or finding the home of your dreams. Call 1-800-299-2129 or reach Peter directly at 9086-014-934.
Welcome to the All-American Ford Bronco Barn. That's right, we turned part of our showroom into a Ford Bronco Barn. All-American Ford in Oldbridge has the largest selection and best prices. Our Bronco Barn features custom Broncos, Bronco heritage signage, accessories, and more. All-American Ford in Oldbridge is truly your Ford Bronco headquarters, and there's something for everyone from the Big Bend trim level to specialty Broncos. Ride topless in a Bronco from All-American Ford. Visit us in Oldbridge or shop online at allamericanfordinoldbridge.com.
Welcome back to Oldbridge High School here. We are at halftime where our score is the Woodbridge Barons 13 and the Oldbridge Knights 7. And Joe, it was a game where Oldbridge struck first, a 25-yard touchdown run by Nugent on a quarterback keeper. And it seemed like that was the last real positive play that this offense was able to put together.
Yeah, the Knights got off to a really good start in this game, Dave. Their first drive didn't go exactly as they had hoped, but they did have great field position. Obviously, you'd like to make something of that, but they maintained pretty good control over the field position battle early in this game. A great punt from Woodbridge did pin them back, but as you said, it was the scramble by Nugent that early on was the difference in this game as Oldbridge went ahead by a score of 7-0. However, from there, Woodbridge able to pick it up both through the air and on the ground. They made a lot of dynamic plays in the latter portion of that first half.
Yeah, and you mentioned field position, and that was, of course, a big factor in that first half. The Woodbridge tying the game with a 16-yard touchdown pass to Isaiah Tolliver, but that came on a very short field, a drive that started at the 27-yard line, and then on a short field that I think started at about the 50, they were able to cap it off with a 12-yard touchdown pass to DeFonso. The PAT, no good. That's the difference in the scoring. But essentially, Joe, Woodbridge playing on just one half of the field in that second quarter.
Yeah, and Woodbridge, when they gave up the touchdown, it was as a result of that botched snap on the punt.
Right.
That set up the touchdown run by Nugent. So you have to be pretty pleased with what your defense has done in this game. They inherited a very short field on the opening drive. I think Oldbridge got started at about the 40 or the 35-yard line following the fumble on the kick that wasn't. They then got to keep the football. Woodbridge able to come up with the stop. They then could not overcome the fumbled snap on the punt. That led to the first Knights touchdown. But as you said, Dave, from there, they only had to play about half the field. Great field position for them offensively, and they capitalized on two separate drives. Brian Anderson in the receiving game, great first half for him. In the running game, Jameer Beal, great first half. More specifically, the first quarter, early in the second quarter, he was heavily featured. They began to lean more and more on the passing game, and once they did, Isaiah Tolliver came through in a big way with the first touchdown reception, another catch on the following drive, and then finally, Dante DeFonso punctuated that second scoring drive with a receiving touchdown following what was nearly a catastrophic play, a big what-if in this game moment right there for Oldbridge as they nearly got the football back.
Yeah, absolutely. And although he hasn't been able to crack the scoring column, let's not forget about number 5, Brian Anderson for Woodbridge, really converting some key third downs. There was a fourth down conversion as well. His play on the sideline has been dynamic. But, Joe, any coach worth their salt will tell you that you want to have a one-score game in the fourth quarter because then one play changes the game. That's where Oldbridge is. They're just one play away right now. If you're in that locker room right now, what's Coach Donahue telling his team as far as being down here by 6 and getting themselves back into this one?
That we're still very much in this game, and we've seen what we can do on both sides of the ball so far. The big run resulting in a touchdown, along with some other solid runs throughout this game. And don't forget, that potential touchdown on the swing pass that wasn't for Oldbridge is a really big play in this game. I'm convinced, based on what I saw on the opening kickoff, that if he catches the football, Chase Rizzo has a really good chance to take it in for 6. We'll never know if that was going to be the case, but as you said, Dave, one play can completely swing the game. That play in the first half could have been it. It wasn't. However, when you're within one score, any play can be that play, and it could come either on offense or on defense. You have to continue to execute, and I think in week 1, that's the message from the coaching staff in the locker room.
No matter what team you are pulling for in this one, we have a good one for you. And it could be even better in the second half. In fact, that is exactly what we are counting on. We are 13-7 at halftime. Before we send it to our final break and get you ready for the third quarter, we do want to thank, of course, all of our sponsors for bringing you this contest today. Of course, Oldbridge High School would like to thank all of our many sponsors. So as you do see their commercials, please frequent their establishments, utilize their services. They are the reason why this stream is going on tonight. And speaking of streams, Joe, this place is packed, and we are operating off of a Wi-Fi signal. So if our stream goes in and out, it is because, of course, we are at the mercy of the Oldbridge Wi-Fi here. And so we do understand that there'll be some choppiness, but it's hanging in there. We're doing okay. And, of course, we're happy to be here and get you as much as we can.
We've made it this far. We have not been booted off the internet yet, despite the spotty signal. So I think if we've made it this far, we'll make it to the finish. I don't see an alert on the screen right now. That's always good news. However, if you're a fan of Oldbridge right now, the news, not great, trailing by 6. However, it's just a one-possession game. If you're a fan of Woodbridge, your team receives the football to open up the second half.
Absolutely. So with that, we will step aside, take a break. When we come back, the third quarter gets underway here live from Oldbridge. It's Woodbridge 13 and the Oldbridge Knights 7. Stay with us. You are watching Oldbridge football on the PDF Sports Network.
At Bagel Boy Bagel Shop in Oldbridge, we're more than just bagels. Come visit us at 2329 County Road 516, where we bake our bagels and bread fresh daily, have the freshest fruit and veggie platters, and an assortment of sandwiches and plates that are sure to satisfy. Bagel Boy is a proud sponsor of all things Oldbridge. Go Knights and go to Bagel Boy. 2329 County Road 516 and at bagelboyonline.com.
East Coast Trophies and Awards has been serving your awards needs since 1986 and is now a proud sponsor of the PDF Sports Network. From sports-specific trophies and plaques to corporate and business promotions and gifts, East Coast Trophies and Awards is your one-stop shop for all of your crowning achievements, and they always meet the right price. Contact Chris today at 848-223-7071 or visit them at www.eastcoastawards.com.
Getting a home loan shouldn't feel like an obstacle course. At CMG Home Loans, getting a loan is simple. Our loan officers are here for you every step of the way. With over 2,000 five-star reviews, when you're ready to buy or refi, we'll work together to find the loan you need for the home you love. CMG Home Loans. Simplified, trusted, committed.
When it comes to buying and selling a home, do it with Peter Hunt's home team, powered by Century 21. For years, Peter has dedicated his life to the real estate industry, offering help and care to all of his clients. With experience and proven results, Peter is an award-winning realtor and the top producer for Century 21 Action Plus. A resident of Oldbridge, put Peter to work at selling your home or finding the home of your dreams. Call 1-800-299-2129 or reach Peter directly at 9086-014-934.
Welcome to the All-American Ford Bronco Barn. That's right, we turned part of our showroom into a Ford Bronco Barn. All-American Ford in Oldbridge has the largest selection and best prices. Our Bronco Barn features custom Broncos, Bronco heritage signage, accessories, and more. All-American Ford in Oldbridge is truly your Ford Bronco headquarters, and there's something for everyone from the Big Ben trim level to specialty Broncos. Ride topless in a Bronco from All-American Ford. Visit us in Oldbridge or shop online at allamericanfordinoldbridge.com.
Welcome back to Oldbridge High School. We are getting set for the third quarter and second half of action. Great halftime presentation we were treated to by the Oldbridge band and, of course, the cheerleading and dance team. And, Joe, it's something that we remarked about while we were off the air during commercial break is just the presentation and the pomp and circumstance here, in this case of Thursday night football, but usually on Friday nights under lights.
Well, I have to admit, I was not treated to a spectacle like this when I was in high school. We didn't have our own field where I went to high school. So this is my first experience attending a high school football game, and I have to say it's been great, and we have a great game thus far as well. That always helps, especially when you're the man with the headset on. So we have a 6-point game at the start of the second half, and if you're a fan of the home team, you're hoping for a stop to open up quarter number 3. Woodbridge has really gotten rolling on their last couple of possessions, and they hope to put some distance between themselves and the Knights here. Yeah, the Oldbridge Knights, some of the players in the kicking unit and special teams units have already come out onto the field, so we do expect to be starting momentarily here in this halftime break. We have about 3 minutes on the clock that will count down in just a few moments. And one of the things that we've been talking about a lot in this first half, Joe, we mentioned it, of course, in our analysis at halftime, was really the field position game. And you said it. The Oldbridge Knights got the ball first and actually had a great return on their opening kickoff and really had the field position battle early, but it completely swung in Woodbridge's favor. And that makes this upcoming kickoff in the second half really critical here to start this second half. And Dave, where the field position battle really swung was when Woodbridge, I believe on their second drive, had a 4th down. Oldbridge backed up against their own end zone, and then they fumbled the snap on the halfback direct snap. That pinned Oldbridge back in front of their own end zone at about the 11. So a stop on defense really set them back in terms of field position, and that's a hole they were never really able to climb out of. Finally, Woodbridge broke through and scored on their next drive. Oldbridge didn't go anywhere on their ensuing drive following the score, and then all of a sudden, Woodbridge goes ahead in the game. All of that occurred, I believe, beyond the midway point of the second quarter, or close to it anyway. So Woodbridge really seized control of this game in quarter number 2, as you mentioned earlier, and they hope to maintain that control to start the second half. Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that we will definitely keep attention to. Of course, penalties and turnovers, the other big intangible that we earmark every single
time we cover games here as being, of course, the great equalizer, as Woodbridge still isn't on the field yet, and we are getting to that point here where, there they go, they're on the field. We're about to get this second half going, and while we have a bit of a break, Joe, maybe we could take a look at some of what we're doing upcoming here on the PDF Sports Network. We will be back here next weekend on Friday night, which is the usual night that we have high school football here at Oldbridge. Of course, most of the New Jersey high schools are playing on Thursday because of the Labor Day weekend. Of course, it's the final Thursday before school as well. But we'll be back here next week for another game, two of 5 that are coming up. And
as
there
promised,
we go.
there it is.
There we go. So next week, we're back here. And then, of course, we remarked about it. Semi-professional football is kind of the bread and butter of the PDF Sports Network. We cover the Elite Football Alliance. We also cover the Jersey Sharks of the League of All Leagues Alliance. And we have one coming up next weekend.
Next weekend, I hit the road. Perhaps you joining me, yet to be determined, but we are headed out to Long Island, Medford, New York, as the Empire State Demon Knights host the Mountaineers of Hudson Valley, if I'm not mistaken. We covered them for the first time last week as we got our first look at the EFA in the 2024 season. So the EFA now in its 3rd year on the PDF Sports Network, and if you can't get enough of us, you can catch us twice next week. First right back here on Friday, and then on Saturday in Medford. Then we return back here on September 13th once again, as Oldbridge will be back in action here at home.
Yeah, a lot of early season home games for this Oldbridge team. So we'll get them right here on the PDF Sports Network. And going along with all of that, beginning in late September, PDF Sportsnet is the voice behind Rockets Junior Hockey in Bridgewater, New Jersey. All of those contests are played on the Flow Hockey Network and the USPHL's channels. And joining us on some of those calls will be John McCooch, who is with us today as our broadcast engineer. We have Vincent Spazienza on our Hero Cam, and upstairs above us is Patrick Gialorenzo, our other cameraman. So we want to thank our terrific crew, of course, for coming out to these games and, of course, making us look good here in the booth. I'm David Pizzuto alongside Joe Foreman. And, Joe, something else we should mention, too, was about 6:30 tonight, about 20 minutes before we went on the air, the Oldbridge Knights honored their seniors on the team. They got to walk out onto the field with their parents, and it was really a great celebration to the years of service for those young men. So we want to mention them. These young men who participated in the senior walk were number 1, Jaden Griffith, number 4, Aiden Reynoso, number 5, Zamir Evans, number 8, Tajay Walker, number 9, Brody Hunt, number 11, Munvi Francois, number 17, Justin Hines, number 18, Johnny Serrano, number 25, Lucas Michael, number 34, Joaquin Rivera, number 44, Alan Schechter, number 55, Tremel Forson, number 57, Aiden Nacera, number 75, Noah Balbuena, number 77, James Greco, and number 97, Jerome Mercado. So congratulations to our Oldbridge seniors, of course, honored today, and get to see them for a host of games this season.
And we certainly look forward to that. Plenty more to come from the Knights here on the PDF Sports Network this season, and plenty more to come tonight as the clock has started running here at Lombardi Field, counting down toward the start of the second half. 35 seconds to go ahead of the start of half number 2. Woodbridge leading Oldbridge by a score of 13-7.
Absolutely. Both teams, of course, looking to improve on seasons from a year ago where Oldbridge finished with a record of 4-6, but they did win 3 out of their last 4 games and 4 out of their last 6 games after a 0-4 start. For Woodbridge, they finished 6-4 last season. They ended up with a 5-0 home record. They were only 1-4 on the road, and that's, of course, something that their coaching staff wants to work on. They're on their way to a potential road victory here tonight, but, of course, 24 minutes separate them from coming out of here with a win. We'll see if they can complete that.
And if you're Woodbridge, you have to think, if you can maintain the kind of offensive balance they've had so far in this game, you should be able to come away with the win, because thus far, Oldbridge has not shown the ability to air it out in the same fashion that Woodbridge has. That being said, this could very easily be a tie game. Woodbridge has to make sure to avoid defensive lapses that can result in big plays. We had the big run on the quarterback keeper earlier in the game by Nugent. They also had the big opportunity on the swing pass that wasn't. That pass just a bit off the mark, intended for Chase Rizzo. So if you're Woodbridge, you have to make sure to try and close up those big openings and opportunities for Oldbridge defensively. On the other side, if you're Oldbridge, you have to find a way to try and get Woodbridge back to being a bit more one-dimensional. They've had such good balance on offense and gotten so many players involved. It's been really tough for the Knights defensively, especially during that second quarter.
Yep. Let's not forget about those penalties that we talk so much about. You mentioned the big touchdown run by Nugent, but he also had a big run that gave him a big first down late in that second quarter that got called back due to a holding, and then on top of it, a personal foul that backed them up all the way to their 3. They're forced to punt from their own end zone, and that gave Woodbridge the short field. We are underway here, and that ball end over end at the 25-yard line, slipping out of a tackle and racing down the sideline was Carter. That was number 3, Josh Allen, the junior. Shaken out of bounds at about the 45-yard line, but they are once again, the 40-yard line. They will have good field position, will Woodbridge, to start things off.
And I think Allen, by slipping a couple of tackles there, may have afforded his team an extra 5 to 10 yards, and those add up.
Yeah.
Especially, as we mentioned earlier, in the battle of field position. And with Woodbridge receiving the second half kickoff and starting just shy of their own 40, a couple of first downs, and even if you don't score on this drive, you have Oldbridge behind the 8 ball once again, pinned up against their own end zone with a good punt. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you're the Knights, what you're looking for here is to get the football back and to get it back as quickly as you can and try and swing momentum back in your direction.
Yeah, it's such a great exhale for head coach Joe George to start the drives here from the 40 because, spoke too soon maybe, as we have a pre-snap penalty, and it looks to be against Woodbridge. False start, and it is, so 5 yards. They will back this one up. It'll be 1st and 15. But I was going to say, Joe, an exhale for the coaching staff, because at very worst, if you give up a 3 and out here, your punt should still, have you own the field position game here.
Yeah, and I think that's something that in the back of the minds of both of these teams.
Yeah.
And I was actually looking to see what the conversation was between Derek Anderson and the officials there. It looked like he was contending that he made a hand signal, but they ruled that a flinch and a false start, an illegal hand motion by the quarterback.
And the give is to Beal underneath, but he is met in the backfield. Great job by Michael Kavas to shed the blockers up front, make another tackle for a loss in this one. And just like that, now it'll be 2nd down and about 16-17 on this one.
And they went back to the triple option on that last play, and the Knights appeared well prepared for it. And that's a play, the more times you see it, the more you pick up on those nuances between the quarterbacks and the runners, and that helps you as a defender to make the right read and to make it a bit more quickly each time. So we'll see here on 2nd and very long now if the Barons look to go back to the air, where they had a lot of success during that second quarter.
Yeah, officially 2nd down and 16 as the first down marker's at the 49, ball spotted at the 33. Anderson out of the shotgun will roll to his left. He's being chased and put down. The ball was out, and jumping on top of it was Zamir Evans. Now, Joe, you can make the argument the ground might have caused the fumble there. It looked like Derek Anderson kind of used the ball as leverage and just kind of left it on the carpet, but for all intents and purposes, Oldbridge has the football.
And Dave, we're going to get a look here on replay. Maybe we slow it down just a bit at the end. And I think it was coming out, Dave. I think the football was on its way out. And if so, it is going to be Knights football, and they have indeed awarded Oldbridge the football in this spot. And you said it, Dave. One big play could completely change this game, and as I mentioned, it could come on either side of the ball. There it is right there as Oldbridge takes over deep inside of Barron's territory at the 25-yard line.
And it was right here at the 25 that Oldbridge scored their first touchdown of the game. Same hash, same area of the field.
Same end of the field
right,
as well.
Exactly. Nugent will give it underneath, and breaking out of the pack and heading towards the goal line was Rizzo. He's downed inside the 5.
And that's a great tackle at the end of that play to stop him short. I thought with certainty that he was headed in for the touchdown. He was grabbed at the last moment, taken down by the ankles. And that's a huge play for Oldbridge in this spot. As coming into the second half, it was the Barons receiving the second half kickoff with a chance to go ahead 2 scores. Instead, now the Knights are on the doorstep with a chance to get even and take the lead with an extra point.
First and goal from about the 3-yard line. They give up the middle and swarmed on and tackled for no gain or maybe a short loss was Jaden Endaz, number 22.
Dave, I think if you're Woodbridge defensively here, and I think we saw it on that first down, they are not going to let Oldbridge carry the football into the end zone. I think it's going to have to come on a carry by the quarterback if they do run it in, and maybe perhaps they go back to that quarterback power or some sort of bootleg to at least give the illusion of a potential pass and gain some running room for the ball carrier if it is indeed the quarterback.
And stays in the game along with Evans, who's in the backfield with Nugent. A lot of size there. Nugent looks like he's going to take it all the way on the sweep. Stays inside the 5, but that's all that he will get, as that is down at about the 4-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
And that's pretty much what I expected on 2nd down, Dave, an attempt to run it with the quarterback. Thought maybe they may try and run some play action and at least give the illusion that they might be passing the football, but fairly quickly after taking that snap, quarterback Nugent took off, and now it's 3rd down.
And Nugent alone in the backfield now, working out of the shotgun.
Mismatch on the right side of the field here.
5 wide receivers and trips right. Now Nugent wants to walk back to his sideline, relaying what he sees. Under 9 minutes to play here in the 3rd. Looking right all the way. Nugent in trouble. Stepping up. Gains the 4 near the goal line. Touchdown!
He just got it, Dave. What an effort by Nugent. And I think the body of the defender may have kept him from going down short of the end zone. We will get a look at it on replay. I initially thought he was just short, but the official right on top of it, ruling touchdown. Oh, boy, that's as close as it gets, Dave. That is as close as it gets. What a job by Nugent. And initially, when they came out 5 wide, they had the defense caught without enough personnel on the far side of the field. But Woodbridge did well to recover as Oldbridge sought instruction from the bench area.
And Michael with the point after, looking to give Oldbridge the lead, and it is good. Left-footed kicker puts it through. It's 14-13. Oldbridge on their first drive after the turnover have now taken over the lead.
And what a drive it was. They get the big play on defense and immediately breaking a big run up the middle. Rizzo sets them up for the potential score. The first 2 downs didn't go the way they would have liked. However, on 3rd down, they made a point, did Woodbridge defensively, to contain Nugent in the pocket. If you take a look at the pass rush on that play, both defensive ends crashing toward the hashes and trying to keep Nugent in between the tackles. He did well to step up and avoid that pass rush, then won the foot race to the goal line. And I think it was the body of the defender that kept him from going down short of the end zone. I thought watching that replay back that it was as close as it gets. There you see the defensive ends trying to keep him in the pocket, unable to do so. They got too far downfield rushing the passer there, and that opened the door for Nugent to break through and carry it into the end zone for 6. The extra point gives Oldbridge the lead, and it only took about 6.5 minutes for them to get back in front. They led early 7-0. They now lead by a single point. Our score for 14-13.
So Nugent with 7 rushing touchdowns last season has the first 2 of the season for Oldbridge, and it gives them the lead both times. They're up 14-13 here on the ensuing kickoff. This is Beal. Beal with a head of steam, and it takes the cavalry to come in and finish him off just outside the 40-yard line. Once again, Woodbridge with good starting field position.
And Beal has managed to impact this game in more ways than one. We've seen it on the ground. Now we're seeing it on special teams. He's been out there on defense as well. He does it all for this Barons team, and now his offense will come out onto the field, led by a quarterback in Derek Anderson, who's thrown the ball very well. Brian Anderson's made a big impact at receiver. We've seen Dante DeFonso with a touchdown reception, Isaiah Tolliver with a touchdown reception. That unit now playing from behind once again with good starting field position, takes over, this time trailing by a single point.
Yep, we had an official timeout on the field, and now I think it was to exchange footballs, and now they have. So Woodbridge is lining up quickly here. Oldbridge still in their huddle. When we return, 14-13, Oldbridge with their second lead of the game. They led 7-0 earlier. Extra point the difference in this one. And Woodbridge, when they've got in trouble, it's been the turnover. Of course, the bad snap on the punt earlier in the game set up the first score. Anderson out of the shotgun, passing all the way. Middle of the field, that one's deflected and it's up for grabs, and it hits the turf.
That was a very dangerous pass. I think it was to say Walker who got his hands on it, but really tough to tell. There was a lot of traffic, and you see now Anderson maybe getting a bit more bold in that spot. He's had a lot of success airing it out. That time he took another chance up the seam. And I think that was indeed Walker who got a hand on it, and that was nearly intercepted. I think the receiver was forced to play a bit of defense in that spot to break things up.
Yeah, Tolliver has shown the ability to reach up and get those, but that was in traffic for sure. Good job for Oldbridge breaking that one up. 2nd down and 10. 2 wide receivers near side, but the give is underneath, and Beal's got ahead of Steven. A good open field tackle to keep him right there by Xavier Diaz. Otherwise, Beal is in for 6. They're going to move the sticks, though. It's 1st and 10 from Oldbridge 43.
Well, Diaz was the last line of defense, and if he doesn't make that tackle, that's going to be a touchdown. And that's a really big play as well. You're going to see just a tackle on the stat sheet. You're not going to see the touchdown-saving nature of that play when you go back and look at the box score.
Gain of 16 on the play for Beal. And it'll be another 1st down here, this time on Oldbridge's side of the field for the first time in this second half. Misdirection at the line of scrimmage, but it is Beal bouncing it to the left side, taken down halfway, and finally tripped up at the 25-yard line, a gain of 18 yards. And Woodbridge is down the field in a hurry.
And Justin Valinati got a hand on him. He tripped him up, but Beal is just so good when his legs are taken out from under him. I don't know how he's able to maintain his balance when he's already accelerated to nearly max speed through the hole, but he was tripped up, managed to regain his footing once again, and we've said that so many times tonight. He's been impressive running the football, especially after first contact. And now Woodbridge in business as they will snap it from the Knights' 24-yard line.
Just outside the red zone here, but back-to-back big gains for Beal. He stays in the backfield, and the give is to Beal underneath. That time he is ripped down immediately. 3 or 4 defenders to meet Beal after no gain on the play.
Zamir Evans blowing that play up as soon as the handoff was made. He came storming into the backfield, and I don't think there was any doubt in his mind where the football was going. He saw something, or perhaps just based on what we've seen the last couple of plays, anticipated where that handoff would go, and Evans getting into the backfield, forcing that ball to be spotted about the line of scrimmage. I thought perhaps he forced a loss of a yard or two. Instead, it is no gain on the 1st down carry.
Derek Anderson went all the way back to the sideline to get this last play from head coach Joe George. Lines up out of the shotgun, the keeper, and now the pitch off the right side, and scampering down close to the 1st down. Once again, that was DeFonso. He scored a touchdown in this game. And that's going to be close to the sticks. It looks like they may advance them, maybe just short. Yeah, it looks like 3rd and 1, Joe.
Awfully close off of that triple option, and we haven't seen them get the chance to pitch that one back too often. On that particular play, they do pitch it, and it goes for a gain of 9 officially, maybe a long 9, as it's 3rd and very short following the loss on 1st down.
3rd down and 1 in what could be 4-down territory. Do not sleep on the field goal attempt here by Tolliver in case they don't get it, but this is the play right here. Beal up the middle. He has the first down, a little bit more as well, just outside the 10-yard line. Another 1st and 10 here for Woodbridge.
And Dave, that's exactly what I expected them to do earlier in the game when they had the 4th down. Give it to Beal up the middle, and if they can get to him in the backfield, credit to the defense. But with how he's run between the tackles, how hard he's run, how well he's maintained his balance, it's going to be very tough to stop him when he needs just the yard. He got that yard and then a bit more there on 3rd down.
Yeah, we know it's a long season, but got to work your workhorses sometime, and Beal has been the workhorse in this one for Woodbridge. He's been outstanding. There's a fumbled snap, I believe, Joe, and getting on top of it, I believe, was Woodbridge.
I think you're right, Dave. And we've seen a couple of miscues in this game on offense for Woodbridge. One coming on the 4th down, direct snap to the halfback. Another one there. And then on special teams, they botched the snap on the punt. So there's certainly some things to clean up on the side of Woodbridge. And despite the early miscues, they had the lead coming into the second half. Now, as the clock winds down toward 5 minutes in the 3rd quarter, they're driving with a chance to take the lead back.
They did manage to pick up a yard on that botch snap fumble. 2nd down and 9. And the give is underneath once again to Beal. He moves the pile forward to about the 5-yard line. It'll be 3rd down from there. Beal's a big guy, and that pile just moves with him, Joe. It seems like one of his real gifts is he's able to get past the line of scrimmage and just extending forward, almost a natural 2 or 3 yard gain no matter what.
He just does such a great job of keeping his balance. It's so hard to take him down. You have to square him up.
3rd and 3 from the 4. Underneath, once again, to Beal. This time he gets stood up by a host of Knights, including a helmetless Noah Balbuena. And we'll see if forward progress actually makes it a loss of 2 or 3 on the play. So how about this? 4th down and 5 from the 6, Joe, and it looks like the field goal unit might be coming on. Isaiah Tolliver to give them the lead.
Sure is the field goal unit coming on for Woodbridge in this spot. And I think the Knights defense was committed to not letting Beal beat them.
Just an extended extra point, if you will, where Tolliver last year was 36 of 38 and 1 of 2 today. And they want a flag here, and that's what Oldbridge is complaining about. They wanted a flag, that they were drawn offside. Look at that. So that backs things up 5 yards. It'll be 4th down and 10. And now decision time for head coach George here, Joe. Do you continue to kick the ball?
I think if anyone knows his kicker, it's the head coach. And no hesitation, no discussion. They will attempt the kick.
Officially a 28-yard field goal. Snap is down, spot. The kick is up. It is good. And Tolliver has given Woodbridge a 16-14 lead with a 28-yard field goal with 3:33 remaining in the 3rd.
No doubt about that one off his foot. That kick is perfect. And you can't overstate how valuable it is to have a kicker that is able to put points on the board in key situations like that one. We're not exactly in the closing minutes of this game yet, but when you have a kicker who can kick the ball confidently with your team trailing, go-ahead kicks, especially in a game that right now sees the difference at 2 points, it's just immeasurably important. And I think that kick speaks volumes about how much confidence they'll have in Tolliver moving forward in this game and what his capabilities are as a kicker.
One of those great seniors on this Woodbridge team, Isaiah Tolliver, has a touchdown catch tonight, has kicked an extra point, and after having his last extra point blocked, that's got to feel good, giving your team the 16-14 lead, being down by 1 because of that blocked extra point. Not sure that's his fault or not, but still has to feel good to give your team back the lead via your leg. So a good response by the Barons, and it puts the pressure right back on the Knights, now down by 2. Skied kick end over end, reaches the 5-yard line, and taken there. Looked like Dixon was the one to scamper out past the 25 to the 27-yard line, and that's where Oldbridge will take over, but we do have an injury on the field, and we're going to have a timeout here, Joe.
Looks like it could be a cramp. Oftentimes that's the best case scenario, but play will be stopped momentarily as they attend to the injured Barron. Meanwhile, we haven't seen many drives off of kickoff start this deep in the territory of the offense. That was as well covered a kickoff as we've seen in this game, though to be fair, many of the kickoffs have been taken a bit short. That one traveled almost all the way back to the 10, and Dixon stumbled forward to about the 26, 27-yard line. So that's where the Knights will take over, and we've seen them benefit from great field position more than once in this game. I think we really, if you're a fan of Oldbridge, would like to see them put together a drive that takes them a bit more than half the length of the field. So far in this game, they haven't been challenged in that way. They've been able to score twice, taking over from deep and plus territory. If they could put together a scoring drive here, I think that says a lot.
Absolutely, and player gets up to his feet there on the other side for Woodbridge. That is Dante DeFonso, who's been extremely busy in this one, so good sign there for Barron's fans. And Joe, we just had our kickoff here, and obviously in high school, conventional rules applies to kickoff, and they do kick off from the 40. What do you think of the new NFL kickoff rules? And, with that season about to start soon.
I understand why player safety, and with the big money contracts that are going out these days, you can't afford to have players going down on kickoffs, and I think that's a big part of it. But in terms of pure entertainment value, selfishly, I hate it. I hate it.
Well, we'll get a good look at it next weekend when the NFL kicks off. And this is Nugent, meanwhile, to the right side, is able to find a hole. Now there is a flag down very late in the backfield. We'll see if that results in a hold and a play that's called back here. Nugent did get about 5 or 6 running right. And most of his runs tonight have been designed runs, as was that one.
And most of the biggest plays in this game for the Oldbridge Knights have been quarterback design runs.
Yeah.
They had the one big run by Rizzo. Outside of that, Nugent has bared the burden for much of their offense.
Yep, and the only real downside, because they really have been able to churn out 3, 4, 5 yards a pop, has been the holding calls that have resulted in 1st and long, 2nd and long, and they have been drive killers to this point for Oldbridge. Now, can they crawl out of this 1st and 20 pit? That remains to be seen.
Well, this hurts you in more ways than one. Obviously, field position, but looking at it from the scope of this particular drive, they haven't passed it much, haven't passed it that well yet. So to make up 1st and 20 is tough.
And rolling out to his left, looking sideline and off of the arms and out of bounds. Incomplete. Pass was intended for Olivencia, who's had a couple of targets in this one but has yet to come down with one.
And once again, they give the quarterback, the left-handed quarterback, an opportunity to roll out to his left and throw sideline, and typically those are the easiest throws you can make as a quarterback while on the move, scrambling toward your throwing arm and throwing short in that case, but Olivencia couldn't bring it in. Would have been a short gain either way. Still a gain you'd love to have nonetheless.
Yeah, pretty good pass on that one as well, leading Olivencia out of bounds, but it will be 2nd down and 20. Nugent fakes the run, now looks downfield, has a man in stride, and there they go. Will he make it to the house? Griffith is gone.
And how about that for a big strike through the air, Dave? They had struggled in the passing game all night. They are struggling no more, as Oldbridge likely surpasses the pass yardage total for the entire game between both teams on one big completion. It is an 85-yard touchdown pass. Jaden Griffith on the receiving end, and it is a huge passing TD for Brody Nugent to put the Knights back in front. Our score, 20-16.
Absolutely, and back up by a full score here. 4 points with Michael looking to make it 5. What a response indeed on the first real downfield throw of the game for Nugent, and Griffith just with the afterburners getting past the top of this Woodbridge defense and then taking it to the house. Extra point is good, and it's 21-16.
And Dave, Griffith sure did kick it into second gear as he was approaching the end zone, didn't he? It looked like they might catch him, and I think somebody signaled to him, you have defenders on your back. Turn it up, and he sure did. He broke away with ease at the end of that touchdown reception. Officially an 85-yard touchdown for Oldbridge, and with the extra point, they go in front by 5.
Yeah, and let's not discount the throw either by Nugent. That was about 40 yards in the air on a dime. It landed right in the breadbasket of the senior Jaden Griffith, who makes his first punctuation mark on this game. And 21-16 is our score, as we've had now 3 lead changes in this third quarter. We still have 2:54 to go.
Well, Dave, I said it would speak volumes if Oldbridge was able to turn, starting field position into a touchdown. They haven't started many drives from in their own territory that have gone anywhere. That pass changes this game in more ways than one. Obviously, it reflects on the scoreboard, but now it lets the Barons know if we have to, we can pass it.
Right.
You can't stack the box, and our receivers have the speed to get over the top of your defensive backs. If you're Woodbridge, how do you respond?
Yeah, it's passes like that where your quarterback comes back to the sideline and say, hey, coach, let's dial that one up a couple more times today. That was fun. This is Michael now getting into this one. It ends up end over end at just inside the 20-yard line. Taken by Brian Anderson, rolls to his left, now gets stood up and taken down there at the 25-yard line. Good open field tackle by Griffin Nugent of this Oldbridge team. Sophomore. And Woodbridge will take over. 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line.
And I'm not sure exactly what adjustments Oldbridge made at halftime, but whatever they did, it's worked.
Yeah.
You have to love the energy they played with defensively. To start the half, they made a stand backed up against their own end zone on the previous Barons drive. And the offense coming out with 2 second-half touchdowns on 2 drives. That last one, of course, a highlight reel play through the air. The big run by Rizzo on the ground set up the Nugent touchdown to get the scoring open here in the second half. So now it's back to the Barons offense taking the field. They were strong on their last drive, had to settle for 3. We'll look for more on this drive.
Anderson passing all the way now. He looks middle of the field. He wants to get the home run, and that one is thrown over everyone and incomplete. Now flags are down here, Joe, and this is one that we'll have to see a few times on replay as well because it looked to be uncatchable as Noah Rios was in coverage. Now, was it uncatchable because Rios was jockeying with the hands, Joe? I don't know, but a big call here against Oldbridge.
And Dave, as soon as the flag was thrown, I was signaling to our engineer the uncatchable hand motion up over my head. I didn't think there was any chance that ball could be completed. If there were no defenders there, I don't think it would have been completed, but we will see what the officials decide.
And we'll get a chance to see it, and maybe once more after this, slow down a little bit, but you can make the argument that if he's not impeded, you can never tell if he can get up and get that one. I think you're right, Joe. I don't really like that call, but they're going to move the ball up the field.
If he has springs in his cleats, maybe.
Yeah.
It would have taken quite the leap. Well, I don't think he had a chance. And we know that these receivers for Woodbridge can get up. We've seen some great plays throughout the night, but I don't think they had a chance of being one of them, personally.
So a pass interference, 15-yard penalty, and an automatic first down.
I'm in a blue polo and not a striped shirt for a reason, Dave.
That's right. And even though we're in the home press box here, we do like to call it even when we see it, and it's fair, we'll say it. But that one looked to me uncatchable. I agree with you on that one, but doesn't matter. 1st and 10, Woodbridge. Tight formation here. Lots of motion, but Anderson's going to look to pass and looking towards the sideline for Brian Anderson. He gets past the secondary, and Woodbridge takes the lead.
Anderson to Anderson with the answer. After Oldbridge took the lead on a long scoring pass, Woodbridge responds with a long touchdown pass of their own. 55 yards, Anderson to Anderson, and just like that, the Barons go back in front. 22-21. Here's another look, and Dave, This time, they go with the play action, and I thought maybe they would try it on the goal line. Instead, they run the play action pass just shy of midfield. The defense bought the fake, and all it took after that was a perfect throw from Anderson. He had some room for error. He didn't need it. Great ball. Brian Anderson takes it the rest of the way for the touchdown.
Interesting decision here to go for 1 over 2 to make it a 2-point game. It is good. So Tolliver makes it 23-21. And if you could believe it, 4 lead changes in the third quarter alone. And we still have 2:32 remaining. This game opened up.
2 scoring passes of over 55 yards. I'm not sure that the two teams combined for any more than maybe 60 yards passing in the first half, you think? They have more than doubled that here in this third quarter alone. The 2 touchdown passes accounting for 140 yards of offense. And if you're a fan of defense, you had to have enjoyed the first half. But if you tuned in for offense, you're for sure going to stay tuned for the rest of this game. A huge third quarter, a lot of dynamic plays, and from time to time you will see this in week 1. Coverage breakdowns that result in big plays. I'm not exactly sure that breakdowns resulted in the 2 big scoring passes. I think instead it is the respect that has been built for the running game on both sides. And that play action fake really caught the Knights by surprise. And I said it earlier, Dave, I thought they might run a naked bootleg down around the goal line. Instead, they do it here with the option to pass down the field. I think there was just a single route on that play, and it was Anderson who made the reception for the touchdown.
There's no doubt there are playmakers on both sides of the field in this one, and they are showing up here in this second half. Nugent's 4-yard run gave Oldbridge the lead, 14-13. A field goal gave it back to Woodbridge, and then an 85-yard touchdown by Griffith and a 55-yard touchdown Anderson to Anderson, and Woodbridge is back up on top. A slip and fall there at the 5-yard line, and because the knee was down, that is a dead ball spot. And how about that for a break? A great kickoff, and stumbling on the play was number 21, Dixon. And Oldbridge is going to have to start from inside their 5.
That really hurts, Dave.
Yeah, it sure does.
And in the battle of field position in a 2-point game, every inch matters. And here, Oldbridge concedes very poor starting field position, but we got one more look ahead of that kickoff at the touchdown pass. There was just one receiver running around on that play. They sold the run so well. Everyone else was blocking on the left side. The quarterback rolled in the other direction. And as a defensive back, that's a lonely spot to be in. One-on-one with a speedster on the outside. Anderson got over the top and scored. Oldbridge now looking for an answer, starting this drive from inside of their own 5 at the 4-yard line.
And if Brian Anderson gets behind you, he's probably staying behind you. No real way to catch up to him. High snap. The keeper by Nugent. He has to struggle just to get out of the end zone. A loss of a couple on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 12 from the 2. Good pursuit that time.
Well, that was obviously by design for Nugent to be able to roll out and have the decision to make between taking off and throwing it. Didn't look like his receivers were really looking back at him. Maybe they thought he had already taken off forward past the line of scrimmage. Well, that surely was not the case in the end zone. And Nugent did a good job just to escape danger and get the ball back out to about the 2. But now they are really backed up here and just inches away from disaster.
Zachary Bedenek was not fooled on that last keeper. 2nd down and 12. Another high snap. The give is underneath that time. I believe that was Dixon again. But just no real estate there. They get popped right at the line of scrimmage. Maybe a gain of 1. It'll be 3rd and 11.
Such a tough spot to be in, backed up against your own end zone. Now it's 3rd down, and you know that if you don't get this, you have to punt from deep in your own end zone and likely concede great starting field position to a Barons team that is already in front by 2. And going back to that decision to kick the extra point, that now allows you the opportunity to go up 2 possessions with a touchdown, followed by a PAT. I think that was the thought process, and I agree with it very early, relatively early in the second half anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. In the third quarter, sound decision-making there. 4 wide receiver spread. The fake underneath. Nugent, not much. A gain of maybe 1 to get back to the original line of scrimmage. But once again, Woodbridge staying home. Nobody fooled on that one. And it's going to be a 4th down and just outside 10, and Nugent's going to have to punt from right under his goalposts.
And that's great discipline by the Woodbridge defense on that play. The temptation there as a defender, you see the running back about to potentially take a handoff in the end zone. You want to take him down. However, they know that in all likelihood the Knights will be looking for Nugent to run the football. They stayed with him and ensured that he couldn't pick up much to make this an easier kick.
Brian Anderson waiting at the 35-yard line. Now this one is going to hit turf. Anderson able to play it on a bounce. Gets to the 30, the 25, and he'll be upended at about the 23-yard line. But another short field here for Woodbridge, now playing with a 2-point lead.
And it was a bit of a tough break for the Woodbridge, or I should say the Oldbridge offense on that last drive, having to start backed up inside their own 5. We've seen some great things from the offense in the second half. They now need the defense to step up in a big way. A field goal from here, far from a given. So if you can hold Woodbridge without a first down, you make it a long kick. At the very least, if you're the Knights, you're looking to keep them out of the end zone and keep this a one-possession game. With how efficient that Tolliver has been on extra points, as you mentioned, missing just 2 last season, you can pretty much count on him to make this a 2-score game if Woodbridge is able to put this in the end zone.
No matter what, this will likely be the final play of the third quarter, just 5.8 seconds remaining. Looks like they want to get a new ball on the field, or one from the Woodbridge sideline, so that's the hold-up here. 23-21 is our score, and what's been a dandy of a football game from start to present. Derek Anderson is going to keep it himself. He drives through the heart of the defense, gains about 2 on the play. First one in on the tackle was Justin Valinati, but that will do it for the third quarter. So we are through 3 complete. When we come back, we start quarter number 4. Woodbridge up by 2, 23-21. Stay with us. You're watching Oldbridge football on the PDF Sports Network.
At Bagel Boy Bagel Shop in Oldbridge, we're more than just bagels. Come visit us at 2329 County Road 516, where we bake our bagels and bread fresh daily, have the freshest fruit and veggie platters, and an assortment of sandwiches and plates that are sure to satisfy. Bagel Boy is a proud sponsor of all things Oldbridge. Go Knights and go to Bagel Boy. 2329 County Road 516 and at bagelboyonline.com.
East Coast Trophies and Awards has been serving your awards needs since 1986 and is now a proud sponsor of the PDF Sports Network. From sports-specific trophies and plaques to corporate and business promotions and gifts, East Coast Trophies and Awards is your one-stop shop for all of your crowning achievements, and they always meet the right price. Contact Chris today at 848-223-7071 or visit them at www.eastcoastawards.com.
We're back here. First play of the fourth quarter, and the pass goes incomplete. Got you back just in time. This was a quick restart there for Woodbridge, but it'll bring up now a 3rd down and a long 7 coming up. That was close.
And we'll get a look at it on replay. We have the full replay, despite having to cut that last ad break short. As you'll see, that throw just missed, making this an 8-point game. And we've seen Anderson just so confident throwing the football. He's been willing to stand tall under pressure. He's been willing to take chances in tight windows. And we've seen that pay off for much of this game, despite nearly throwing an interception earlier in the second half. He's been unfazed.
There's a big moment, though. 3rd down and a long 7, short 8. In motion. Anderson looking towards the sideline and reaching up and grabbing it was Brian Anderson, complete for the first down. We've seen that before.
And that is a great show of confidence in your receiver. You could tell Derek Anderson was waiting as long as he could to give Brian a chance to get to that first down marker. He was not yet turned and facing the football, but these two have probably run that so many times in practice. We've seen it many times tonight throughout this game. That area of the field, right sideline, out breaking route. They love those throws.
Yeah.
And time again, they have come through converting in big 3rd and 4th down spots on that type of pass.
1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. Once again, back in the red zone. The keeper for Anderson doesn't fool anybody, but he does gain the edge and takes it in for the touchdown. He broke 2 or 3 tackles on that one, Joe, and they go up by 2 scores, potentially.
And I'm not sure how they didn't get him, Dave. I am shocked that he was able to escape out of the backfield. Once again, they go with the triple option. There was a chance to pitch it. I thought he might, and instead he accelerates up the field. I think there was some respect paid to the potential for a pitch on that play, but that still doesn't explain the broken tackle. I thought for sure they had him wrapped up, and Anderson able to power his way through a tight hole and into the end zone for a touchdown. This a big extra point with Woodbridge now in front by 8. The kick here makes it a 2-score game and completely changes the complexion of this one from just a few minutes ago when Oldbridge had the lead.
Yeah, certainly. They took the lead on an 85-yard touchdown pass at Oldbridge, but what a response by Woodbridge since. The extra point is up. It is good. And no flags. I thought originally there was, but just like you mentioned, Joe, Woodbridge going up by 2 scores. For the first time in this game, they lead by 9 now, 30-21.
And I said it before, Dave, the decision to go for the extra point following the previous touchdown is one that could prove very consequential later in this game. And not chasing points, trying to go ahead by 3 in that spot, gave you the opportunity to go ahead 2 scores with the extra point in that last spot, and I think the right decision was made, as I said earlier, given the fact that that score came at about the midway point, maybe a bit later than that in the 3rd quarter, to try and push the lead to 3 that early. Usually not the right decision by the book, and a good decision by Woodbridge now has them in front by 2 scores. They lead it 30-21, still 11:42 to go in this game, but now a lot more pressure on this Oldbridge offense as they trail by 2 scores for the first time tonight.
Yep. Both of these teams have done such a great job of maximizing on the other team's mistake. And on that last touchdown that Woodbridge scored on the ensuing kickoff, Oldbridge's Dixon slipped and fell at the 5-yard line, and Woodbridge made him pay. They didn't allow them any room at the 5. They were forced to punt short. They got the ball back at the 23-yard line, and again, another very short scoring drive for Woodbridge. Dixon is able to meet that one at about the 15-yard line, and he is met by number 7, Tyler Simkovich. Stands him up, and Oldbridge will start at about the 25-yard line.
Simkovich has been involved on quite a few plays, both on defense and on special teams, making tackles and forcing the return man to go in the direction that the kick coverage team would like. And right there, he effectively got run over in the process of making the tackle, but he did what it took to bring down the return man. And Oldbridge, once again now, will start from fairly deep in their own territory, this time at about the 26, but that's in stark contrast to the multiple drives they've started in plus territory.
11:38 to go. Oldbridge down by 2 scores. Little movement there by Woodbridge. If they would have snapped that, they would have had a free play, but instead they'll get a free 5 yards up the field. It'll be 1st and 5.
And very interestingly now, trailing by 2 scores, Oldbridge goes straight to a 5 wide receiver look. A lot of the time you'll see that down around the goal line to spread the field out a bit and maybe open up some running lanes for the quarterback. But here in this spot, while the quarterback run still needs to be accounted for, Oldbridge may be looking to air this out and get on the board quickly. A field goal still does the trick, making it a 1-score game. Any score keeps them very much alive.
Here we go, 1st and 5. First play of the drive here. Nugent was looking left at first. Now he's bottled up in the backfield, is able to get that one off, but it's well past the arms of Jacob Familia. Excuse me, that was number 84, not 24, Liam Schechter. And we have an injury on the field here in the backfield, but it is the Woodbridge interior defensive lineman, looked like number 79, Aaro Andrews. Coming back out of this, it'll be a 2nd down and 5. Want to thank everybody in the Oldbridge athletics family, of course, our parents, club members, Mike and Chris, for really working with us and getting us on the air and getting us all the information that we needed coming into this one, as well as all of our sponsors as well, and of course Coach Matt and the rest of the Oldbridge team. And Joe failed to mention it, but familiar face on the Oldbridge sideline, A.J. Roquet, head coach of the Jersey Bearcats, is in a assistant coach role with the Oldbridge Knights. Of course, we know Coach Roquet from the Jersey Bearcats arena football team, but also was a longtime assistant coach with the Kane University Cougars and NCAA Division III football, and has such a great career. And he's also the commissioner of the American Arena League too. So we have a lot of familiarity with AJ and have worked with him for a little over 2 years now, and it's great to see him pacing the sidelines.
No question about it. And I think that's him jogging up the sideline with a headset on right now.
Yes, sir. AJ, of course, made the introduction for PDF Sports here in the Oldbridge family. I'm very thankful for it. 2nd down and 5. Nugent off to the sideline, and he does find Schechter and minimal yards, gain of about 3 on the play. First hookup with Schechter today. It'll lead to a 3rd and short.
Barring a big loss on this play. 4-down territory at this point in the game? 2 possessions?
We're looking close to it, and I think this down will have an effect if they're able to push past the line of scrimmage. And
I think if they don't lose any yards, they go for it here.
Yeah. They have gotten forward progress, especially with the quarterback keepers, and I would suspect that this is going to be Nugent all the way on this one, right side. His right side, anyway. Dixon is in motion, now lines up directly behind him. The fake there. Nugent thought about running right, now goes left, gets stood up right at the line of scrimmage. No gain. It'll be a 4th down and 2.
And Dave, I think it's clear at this point in the game that the Barons defense is not respecting any ball carrier other than Nugent. Yep. Every time they've gone with a fake handoff, the defense has stayed home and committed to stopping Nugent. And I think they may have lost just a bit, perhaps got back to the line of scrimmage. Either way, it's going to be 4th down and 2 officially, and it looks like Oldbridge is setting up to go for it.
Yeah, you can see the sticks on your screen. The 1st down marker is at 37-yard line, and that ball just inside the 35. So a long 2 yards here on this one. And if Woodbridge gets a stop here, they are going to feel awful good about their positioning in this game with just under 10 minutes to play. Up by 9. 2 in the backfield now with Nugent. The give is underneath to Rizzo. He's going to get bottled up and pushed back 5 yards. Forward progress stopped at the 35, and Woodbridge is taking over on downs.
And that is quite the defensive stand by Woodbridge. It was 3rd and short. It was then 4th and short. And Oldbridge electing to hand it off right up the middle. No trickery, no deception, no misdirection. They challenged the Barons defense up front, and that time it is Woodbridge winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Rizzo with nowhere to go. He never had a chance, and that leaves about 10 minutes just shy of it on the clock. Officially 9:43 to go, and now the Knights defense has to have a stop.
Absolutely, and I wasn't sure if that was Rizzo or number 2, Xavier Diaz, but either way, it didn't really matter as he was stood up in the backfield, and Woodbridge gets to take over. Now, Woodbridge on their last 3 drives have scored in this one. A 28-yard field goal by Tolliver, and then, of course, the 55-yard touchdown pass and the 12-yard run by Derek Anderson. There's the pitch. Right side, and a lot of traffic there, but making some headway was DeFonso, who's been active as well. A gain of maybe 3 on the play, make it 2. 2nd down and 8. Does scamper out of bounds, though, stops the clock at 9:38 to go.
I'd be interested to see what it would take for the Barons to attempt a field goal at any point. Does it really benefit you to go up by 2 touchdowns? Would you take that chance? How confident are you in your special teams unit? Because that definitely plays a role in how this drive is defended. You know you need a stop, but if you know they probably don't want to kick a field goal, that changes things just a bit, knowing the offense has 4 plays to get a first down. Just something to keep in mind early in this drive.
Sure. 2nd down and 9 officially. Pistol set. They do give underneath, and looks like the first carry of the game for Simkovich on the offensive side of the ball, and he moves the pile ahead to about the 30-yard line. And that'll be close. Closer, anyway, to a first down marker. It'll be 3rd and about 4. 4.5 on the play.
Well, if they don't pick up the first down here, I don't think there's any chance they would kick a field goal.
No, I don't think so. Not
so
from here.
You either have the opportunity to pin them back or go for it on 4th down. And I would be inclined to think they'd go for it.
Yeah, so do I. I would say go for it. But, of course, they'd like to get a little closer here on 3rd down or pick it up right here. And, you know, they've had the options here. We've seen Anderson keep it. We've seen passes near the sideline to Brian Anderson, up top to Isaiah Tolliver, who's lined up wide left. A lot on the table. And we have flags, though, before in the backfield of Oldbridge. So we'll see what the call is here.
Well, if that goes against the Barons, that's a big penalty. And
it did.
It is against Woodbridge. So they back up 5, and that changes things just a bit. On 4th and 9 as opposed to a 4th and 4, 4th and 5. I don't know if I'd go for it in that spot. I might take my chances and try and pin them back, because to allow a drive to start at the 35 versus perhaps inside the 10, big difference, especially now with the clock winding down toward 8 minutes to play.
Yeah, 100%. If there's no gain on this play, if I'm Woodbridge, I'm kicking. But 3rd and 10, let's see what they have to offer here. Fake underneath. They look in the seam, and that's between 2 defenders, incomplete. Looked like Barner was the intended receiver, had to kind of reach across his body in the other direction to grab that. But it'll be 4th and 10, and it looks like we're seeing what Woodbridge is going to do. They're going to punt.
And I'm curious to see, looking back at that last play, if they tried to set up the outbreaking route on the sideline once again. We're about to get another look at it. And I think maybe in anticipation of the Knights taking away that outbreaking route, they threw the seam. But it didn't look like there was much going on there except both receivers streaking up the field. So I don't think they were looking to throw that outbreaking route. I think that was the play design, and I'm actually a bit surprised they didn't have a better look at it with how much attention Brian Anderson commands on that far side. We've seen them go in his direction so many times already. I thought that seam would be a good look on 3rd down. Instead, it was well covered, and the ball was put in just about the only place where the defender wasn't going to get a hand on it. And now that brings up a decision here on 4th down. Both of us anticipating that Woodbridge will look to punt. We'll find out momentarily, but now offensively for Oldbridge, it's going to be do or die. You need points on this drive when you get the football back, assuming, of course, the Barons don't go for it. And they have 8:22 to work with ahead of what is to come on 4th down.
Yep. Well, remember the really bad snap on a punt that ended up costing tremendous field position for Woodbridge that resulted in Oldbridge's first score of the game. Got a chance to see the band here on your screen moments ago, adding to the pomp and circumstance of this game, but looks like it will be a punt here. Back deep is Xavier Diaz. And no, now they line up closer. Diaz comes in from his safety position. Here we go, 4th and 10. Back to pass is Anderson. Anderson looking wide open is Brian Anderson at the 20-yard line, and he takes it to the 15. First down, Woodbridge.
They caught them off guard, Dave. They were not ready for that. And I think that's the first time that we've seen a pass completed anywhere near the hash marks by this Woodbridge offense. They haven't looked to that area of the field much. So you have the defense/special teams unit for Oldbridge potentially expecting a kick, as we saw Diaz set up very deep on that particular play. Not sure. He was in a return man spot, may have crept in from a safety position. Either way, you have to think that defensively, your first instinct is to protect those sidelines. They've gone there so often.
Yeah.
This time they throw toward the middle of the field, and there was a wide open area to put that football. Easy pitch and catch. First down, Barons.
Dropped it right into the zone. And Derek Anderson now with no rush. 7:40 remaining. Taking all the time on the play clock. 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line officially. They give it up to Simkovic, and Simkovic moving the pile until he's finally put down at about the 12-yard line. That's a gain of about 4 on the play, and the clock will continue to run with 7:20 and counting.
Well, the mindset now for Oldbridge as the clock has been stopped here. Not sure if for a timeout or a potential injury.
Injury for Simkovic, yeah. And, that play, that 4th down play, Joe, came after a timeout that was called by Woodbridge. So they actually discussed that for quite some time. And at first we didn't see who took the timeout, but then they flashed it on the scoreboard here. So we were able to get it just now. But, yeah, that play came as a result. They kind of feigned as if they were going to punt and then kind of moved everybody in closer. And, yeah, took advantage. A little bit of deception. They had a chance to talk it over.
Yeah, I think the 2-score deficit may have accounted for this. Sorry to cut you off,
no,
Dave.
No problem.
But I think perhaps the 2-score deficit causes you to maybe think twice before calling a timeout there if you're Oldbridge. You're down 2 scores. You'd love to keep your timeouts. But if they were truly caught off guard in that spot, that's a situation where I think you have to ask for time and use the timeout.
Yep, but you would think during that timeout they were discussing that as well. Be prepared.
Yeah.
Because you don't really take a timeout before you're going to punt.
That's a good point.
Anyway, still a chance here to stop Oldbridge. 2nd down and 5 from the 11. 7 minutes and counting. Anderson with the snap, gives it up the middle, and finding a little bit of a seam was Zachariah Guzman, I believe, number 22 with the carry. Got to confirm that in just a moment. But they are going to move the sticks. So it's going to be 1st and goal from the 5.
And it just seems like that 4th down completion may have been a demoralizing factor for this defense. Woodbridge now content to hand the football off, run some more time off the clock. I'm not sure there's any situation to kick a field goal here. I think they probably go for it unless they're very far out from the goal line. And I'd look for the Barons to keep handing it off, and maybe they try that naked bootleg I mentioned earlier and run it in with the quarterback to perhaps catch the defense off guard.
And even if the Barons don't score here, they would trade that for getting 2.5 minutes off the clock.
For sure.
Guzman tiptoes to the right side where he's met by the pile. Drives him down at about the 3. Is he still up? He's still churning. And he's in the end zone. Touchdown.
What a power run by Guzman. The 5'6", 185-pound senior carries the Knights defense toward the goal line and into the end zone for what could be the touchdown that puts this game away. His team now in front by 15. If they kick the extra point, which I would anticipate they will, the deficit would be 16. So that is still a 2-score game. The game not over, but it becomes a very difficult road for Oldbridge should they fall behind by 16. Already a difficult road as it stands. However, we saw it in the first half. Oldbridge striking first, Woodbridge responding as the extra point is blocked.
And that ball dead at the 10-yard line. So it remains a 15-point game, 36-21. So Oldbridge went into that drive knowing they were down by 2 scores. They still essentially are. And 6:04 remaining. Obviously, a comeback here would be amazing for Oldbridge and unprecedented. But then again, we were at 13-7 at halftime. And this game certainly opened up.
To finish, building upon my point from before, we saw it in the first half. Oldbridge struck first, Woodbridge answered, 2 scores. Here in the second half, Oldbridge struck first. They held Woodbridge to a field goal before scoring another touchdown. This was a 21-16 game. It's now 20 unanswered points. So this game has changed quite a bit since the early going in the third quarter, and now Oldbridge, with their backs up against the wall, need a touchdown, and they need to do it quickly.
A game in which has featured 5 lead changes, 4 of them here in the first half. It's a 36-21 game in favor of Woodbridge, a team that finished 6-4 last year, 4-0 in their division. Record that included a 28-13 win over this Oldbridge team, a 15-point win at Woodbridge. Now they're up by 15 here in Oldbridge. Tolliver's kickoffs have been great all night. There's another one that ends up at the 15. It is Dixon. Dixon scampers off of one missed tackle and ends up down at about the 35-yard line. So we paint the picture for you. Oldbridge down by 2 touchdowns. And what will take a 2-point conversion and a 1-point conversion just to tie. Have 6 minutes to try and get in the end zone twice. And they'll have to go 65 yards on this drive to get them started. In a game where they had one huge play of 85 yards, touchdown pass to Griffith. But other than that, the passing game has really not been a factor in this game for the Knights. They've had to rely on the legs mostly of Nugent in this one, peppered in with a little bit of number 21 Dixon. But Nugent operating empty backfield. Pauses, drops one in short. The catch is made that time. First of the game for Johnny Serrano. A gain of about 5 yards on the play. And it looks like the clock was stopped as well as Serrano was able to get out of bounds. 5:53 to go.
And with all that being said about the steep hill to climb for Oldbridge, they do have decent starting field position. Gets a bit better following that first down play, and they will hurry things up with 5:50 to go.
But knowing that they have to put the ball up, Woodbridge playing a lot of guys back, dropping in zones, and here's Nugent running for his life. Now he throws on the run and almost intercepted by Simkovic. Simkovic had to leave the game due to injury a few moments ago. On the offensive side, makes a great play on defense.
That was a great diving swat. If that ball gets by and the intended receiver on the play was open. So Simkovic continuing to leave his mark on this game, and now it's third down and about 6 to go, with the game very much on the line for the Knights.
Job number 1, obviously, is to convert here. Earn yourself another 4 downs if possible.
We've seen it time and time again. Both teams coming up big defensively throughout this game in different positions, though the second half has been dominated by the offenses. It's been in the tightest windows, backed up against the end zones, where the defenses have really thrived.
Short drop, they work it towards the sideline. Serrano has the first down and does get out of bounds with 5:43 remaining in the fourth. So they move the sticks. But you know what? If Oldbridge can pepper this Woodbridge defense with some 5- and 6-yard passes underneath, playing that soft cushion on the zone, why not? They look in that direction again. Serrano gets the pass, breaks one tackle, and is pushed out of bounds after a gain of about 16 yards on the play. Good enough for a first down, and now Oldbridge set up at the Woodbridge 36.
Well, they're giving these Knights receivers quite the cushion, Dave, and now all of a sudden, Oldbridge has the ball at the Woodbridge 35-yard line. Things coming a bit too easy, perhaps, for Oldbridge so far on this drive.
100% here. Once again, Nugent works empty backfield, rolling out to his left, surveying, and will throw it out of bounds. Wise decision for the junior quarterback. 2nd and 10.
Not really much else to do with it there, but you have to credit the defensive line on that play. It was number 58 on the side of Woodbridge. That's Jeremiah Colon, who was chasing down Nugent and did not allow him to turn that upfield and carry the football past the line of scrimmage. He forced him instead to throw it away, and that's big on that play because there wasn't much help along that far sideline. If Nugent is able to turn upfield and run with that ball, that could have turned into another first down as the Knights offense looks to continue marching down the field. Still 5:28 to go. The clock is stopped with all of these plays that have ended up with the Knights receiver out of bounds.
Yeah, and this drive is only taking about 35 seconds off the clock, too, as once again they work it to Serrano. This time Serrano stays in bounds, and he gains about 5 yards on the play, maybe a little less. And it will be a 3rd down and about 5 coming up.
And I think we're at that point now where they've gone to that short sideline pass a few times. You have to be careful because the defense could try and jump one of those.
Officially 5 minutes remaining now. There's a fake towards the sideline. They go down the heart of the field, and Griffith was bumped, and there comes the flags. It's one of those plays, Joe, where that also looked potentially uncatchable, but you have to throw the flag there because of the bump.
Yeah, and Dave, they were thinking exactly what you and I were thinking. I thought they would try and jump the short pass. They did. It opened up the seam, as you said, and that forced the flag in the end zone on that bump. We'll get another look at it on replay here as you see the ball sail over the head of the intended target, incomplete. And you know what? That one might have been catchable. It was close. It was close, but whenever contact like that is made right in front of the official and such a consequential part of the field late in the game, that flag's going to get thrown. I'm more inclined to agree with that one than the last one. I think that was closer. Yeah, but you know, if you're a fan of Woodbridge and you got the call earlier, you're certainly not going to be able to lament that one.
Yeah, one you can't really argue with there. 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down, sets Oldbridge up in the red zone. They're 1st and 10 at the Woodbridge 15-yard line. 4:59 remaining. Nugent looking middle of the field, has to think twice. Flag is down. The pass too elevated, incomplete. This one might be coming back 10 yards due to a hold.
Yeah, I think they're going to get the Knights for holding on this one. Initially, it was great protection, but apparently there was a reason for that as the flag flew, and we would anticipate the penalty call is going to be holding against Oldbridge. That will back them up 10 yards, and the road gets a bit tougher for them as they look to pull within 1 score. Keep in mind, if they do score, they need the 2-point conversion to remain in this game and keep it a 1-score game. So plenty to think about, though. The score right now is 36-21. They do not need to get the 2 here.
They'll need it.
I forgot. The extra point was blocked.
They'll need it at some point. If they obviously
will
tie
need
the
it
game.
at some point.
And if they want to come out of here where they win in regulation, they'll probably have to go for it twice. But
you can't go for 2 on the first score. You can't.
Trips left here. 5 wide receivers set. Nugent nowhere to go. Being contained in the pocket. Still alive. Behind the line of scrimmage. Working left to right. Finds some real estate at the 20, the 15, the 10. He works inside the 5. Touchdown, Nugent!
What a scramble by Nugent. He made one man miss, made another miss, all of that after reversing field. How did he turn that into 6? I don't know, but now we have a 9-point game, and with the PAT, it will become a 1-score game once again. Here it is, all unfolding a second time.
Are you kidding me? This replay should take about a minute.
Get your voice back, Dave. Oh, my goodness. What a touchdown scramble by Nugent. I don't know how he turned that into a score. I don't know how he held on to the football with the defense chopping at it down around the goal line. Somehow he managed both to score and secure the football. The extra point now can make it a 1-score game. Still 4:35 to play, and it is an 8-point deficit for the Knights.
And don't sleep on that extra point. That's a huge one, and it is made by Michael to make it 36-28. A 25-yard run. Does that sound familiar? An interesting decision here, what Oldbridge will decide to do with this kickoff. Now, by our count and by the scoreboard's count, they have all 3 timeouts remaining. Of course, they'll get the 4th quarter warning as well, so like 4 built-in timeouts. There's plenty of time. But they do have to hold Woodbridge to likely a 3-and-out. Maybe they have the potential to yield 1 first down and get the ball back, but what do you do here? Onside kick. We've seen a pooch kick before. We've seen some squibbers. A lot on the table here as well. Special teams has played a huge part in this game.
Yeah, I think it's a tough call, but I'm inclined to say kick it away and give your defense a chance. And the reason for that is field position. Yep. Because if you don't get it and then stop them, you have to go a very long way. If you can kick this off and get this drive started for Woodbridge inside of your own 30, inside of your own 25 for the Barons, and then stop them, you're in much better position.
Here we go, and it is kicked into with a heavy leg, bounces at about the 20-yard line. That ball is live, and getting on top of it wisely was Derek Anderson. And Woodbridge will take over at their own 23-yard line, 1st and 10, 4:35 remaining in regulation in a 7-point game, an 8-point game, 36-28 is our score. Oldbridge obviously needing a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie things up here, and their defense will have the first crack at it, getting that ball back. Of course, obviously looking for the turnover here. That would be ideal. And for Woodbridge, a chance to maybe ice the game away and never have your defense take the field again. Plenty of drama in store for the final 4.5 minutes.
They've done a lot well offensively in this game. We've seen the handoffs that have gone for such big gains, a lot of them by Jameer Beal. We've seen them air it out at times. Anderson to Anderson, the connection that has really shined tonight. Also, Isaiah Tolliver with a big reception earlier. Plenty to look out for.
Bottled up in the backfield, nothing doing. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage was Guzman, who was the touchdown scorer on the last drive. Good pursuit there by the Knights. Clock moving here. We'll probably get inside of 4 minutes on this next play. Loss of 1 officially on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 11.
Well, we didn't see much of Guzman earlier. He is, relative to his teammates, a very fresh back that has gotten a lot more work here in the second half, and he heads to the sideline now. I think it was DeFonso who replaced him.
Timeout has been called by Woodbridge here. So with 3:55 to go, they call timeout, and they are down to 1 by our count.
Dave, I think that helps the defense just as much, if not more, than the offense. A chance to talk it over here, and obviously if you're Woodbridge, you need to do whatever you have to make sure that you have everything set up the way you'd like here. But now Oldbridge also reaps the benefits of this timeout, and they didn't have to burn one of their 3 remaining. So if they get the football back following a 3-and-out, all of a sudden this game gets a lot more interesting. Plenty of time, and it's been pretty interesting to this point. It gets a lot more dramatic should the Knights get it back trailing by just 8.
Without a doubt, we have been entertained. That is for sure. We thank you for hanging in with us here on the PDF Sports Network. We'll be with you all year long here at Oldbridge. 5 home games. Next week, Oldbridge takes on Edison High School. They will come in here and play at Oldbridge. Edison taking on East Brunswick tonight, same time. So that game probably coming down to a final as well. Should be a good one next week, but we've got one to solve here with the final 3:55 to go. Woodbridge down to 1 timeout, 2nd down and 11. Anderson works out of the shotgun. Motion up front. They work it in the middle of the field. Anderson kept it all the way. Not fooled, and the cavalry came to meet him right at the line of scrimmage.
Got to be careful on a play like that after the whistle blows. I don't think the official would throw a flag in a situation like that. With how big this possession is, you'd hate to see it, but you still have to be careful nonetheless. Once you hear that whistle blow, not to follow through and pile up on the quarterback. That being said, it is now 3rd and long. No question Woodbridge would have to punt it away if they don't get this. So you know, if you're Oldbridge, you only have to defend 1 more down here to get the football back. And you have to think that with how prolific the passing game has been, Woodbridge takes a shot to get the first down through the air here. They've taken some time off the clock on the ground with these last 2 plays. Now it's time for them to try and pick up this first down.
They will snap this one with just inside of 3 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. Do they put the ball in the air? Flag on the play, and this could be a delay of game, Joe. Just judging by the time that the last play ended, and it will be against Woodbridge. So add an extra 5 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 15. Clock with 2:54 remaining.
Dave, I was fairly certain they would pass on 3rd and 10. I'm not nearly as certain they pass on 3rd and 15.
Oldbridge does have 3 timeouts remaining. They will likely take one after this play if, of course, the clock is still moving. Anderson underneath, dangerous pass. Brian Anderson, the intended receiver, but right there in his back pocket was Justin Valinati, who almost came down with that ball.
I really don't like that pass, Dave, and I'm not sure if the play design was for 2 routes to be well short of the sticks, but for such a high-risk throw, you have to at least have the potential to pick up a first down on that throw, and they did not. It was not even close.
No.
And I think maybe they believed the defense would bite on the run and that the quarterback would have more room to work. I think with Oldbridge having seen that play-action pass look earlier, it benefited them in that spot, and I think the situation playing to that also a huge benefit as well, knowing they needed 15 for a first down.
They haven't had to punt often, but this is a big one for Kyle Campos. Had a snap go awry in the first quarter of this one. That snap is a good one. Campos gets under it. It's a relatively good punt. Lots of traffic in the area. Picked up at about the 45-yard line, and right there to make the stop were the Barons. But here we go. 2:35 remaining in the game. Oldbridge will have the ball at the Woodbridge 43-yard line. Officially a 28-yard punt. But this is it, Joe. This is where you wanted to be if you're Oldbridge. Down by 2 scores. You wanted to give yourself a chance here in the dying moments of this one, and here's their chance.
Well, Brian Anderson, not to be lost on that punt, made a great tackle to ensure that return didn't go any further. But either way, it is still great starting field position for Oldbridge, and this goes back to our discussion from earlier. This is why you had to kick it off. Now you benefit from great field position following the 3 and out, and coming off the momentum of that stop, of that scoring drive, you have to like your chances here if you're the Knights.
Well, all eyes will be on Nugent here. 3 rushing touchdowns in this one. They will look to keep him at home in the pocket. He looks towards the sideline and unable to come down with it was Diaz. Again, the pass was a little bit high, but Diaz was in open space.
And that's a great look for Nugent and Diaz. Diaz was wide open, and obviously Nugent rolling to his weak side, left-handed thrower rolling right, but I'm sure that's one he'd like to have back. That being said, if you're getting a look that good on first down, you have to like your chances to get a look like that again. And it seems like right now Woodbridge having a bit of trouble with the passing game of Oldbridge.
Yep, they've allowed a lot of that soft zone underneath passing in the last drive as well. See if Nugent goes back to that. He dances in the pocket, is being pursued, now goes towards sideline, more throw out of play. Serrano, the closest wide receiver in the neighborhood, but it will be 3rd and 10.
Watching the pass rush on that play, I picked up on something that I mentioned earlier. If you took a look at the defensive ends on that last play, they were very conscious about not pursuing the quarterback too deep in the backfield. They were not going to let Nugent step up through the pocket and run again. You can see it on both sides. Great discipline by the ends. Nugent looked like he wanted to step up. Immediately, you could see the end at the bottom of your screen. That was number 9, Aiden Jones. His good footwork to immediately slide back up the field and ensure that Nugent had to roll it out wide.
Contain, contain, contain. Here we go. 3rd down and 10. Nugent with a good, clean pocket. Being converged on. Flag is down. Nugent has the first down, but this one looks like it might be coming back.
And Dave, he used that contain against him there. He saw that they were trying to keep him from going up the field. Nugent started through that hole and then juked wide of the block. That's a great play on the ground by the quarterback, but the flag might just bring it back and negate what I believe was a first down carry. I think he just got it. Tough to tell from where the ball is spotted, but I think he got it, Dave.
No doubt a long conversation coming out of this penalty call. Everybody with bated breath. It will be a hold against Oldbridge. And it's a negation, Joe. A hold on both sides. So they will redo this here. Offsetting penalties.
Well,
it went from a good play to a bad play to a, okay, we'll take it play.
That is certainly a we'll take it moment if you're a fan of Oldbridge. And if you're a fan of Woodbridge, that one stings a bit because the 10-yard holding penalty would have put them in a really tough spot. They still have 3 timeouts left, so that's something to keep in mind if they were to get stopped here. Yeah. But given where they would end up in terms of field position and obviously the potential for the Barons to put the game away with a first down, this is the drive you're focused on. This is the drive that you need points from. And then, should you go on to score a touchdown here, you're going to need the 2-point conversion.
Absolutely. You might have to take a timeout just to discuss that play. 2:15 to go. 3rd down and 10. Big play here. Both sides of the football. Nugent, pretty much the whole fourth quarter operating as in an empty backfield. This time he rolls left, wants to step up in the pocket and does. He has the 40, 35, 30, still on his feet to the 25-yard line. Clock continues to move with 2:06 to go. First down, big play. 25-yard gain just about.
I am shocked that he had that running lane, Dave. They let him step up straight through the pocket, and there was nobody there watching him.
Remember, the clock stops after a first down to reset the ball. Now it moves, so we are at the 2-minute mark. Quick throw in the underneath flat that time to Griffith, his first catch since the 85-yarder. And with 1:52 remaining, it'll be 2nd down and 8, and Oldbridge will line it up quickly. 1:40 remaining now.
That was a good tackle by Barner to wrap him up.
2nd down and 7. Once again, Nugent can't find anybody. Still dancing around, moving to his left, middle of the field, and the catch is made inside the 10. Another first down will stop the clock automatically. The catch made by Michael Kavas, his first.
Well, shame on you if you left early, Dave. If you tuned out or left the field early, you are missing what could be an all-timer. As timeout has been called now.
Oldbridge called it.
With Oldbridge taking the timeout, I thought maybe, given the stoppage following the first down, they might try and hold on to all 3 timeouts in case they don't get the 2. Obviously, you're going to need the 2-point conversion, but if you did have 3 timeouts left, there's always that possibility that you get the ball back one more time. That possibility now goes by the wayside here.
Well, I think
it's all in on this drive.
I was going to say, I think Matt Donahue thinking to himself, this is it. This is our chance. We got the ball inside the 10. We have to score here. This is the game. Let's call a timeout here. Let's maybe call 2 plays in this huddle and see how things work out. But Oldbridge, who would have thought, down 15, really with 6 minutes left in this game, so less than half time remaining, going down the field, potentially a chance here to tie things up with this possession. Unbelievable. And what a game we've been treated to. This is what openers are all about. And I'm sure everybody at home watching us would agree. If you're here at the stadium, a lot of nervous energy, but a good time to be had by all.
How can you follow this up?
No, it's going to be really hard.
We have a lot more games to go this season.
4 more at least. Out of the shotgun at the 8-yard line. Here is Nugent. Designed run. Up the middle. 5 yards. Touchdown.
Perfectly blocked, and he took it in virtually untouched. And for Nugent, that is his 3rd rushing touchdown of the game. Make it 4 now as he takes it across the goal line. He opened the game and opened the scoring with a 25-yard run. Took it in for a second one in the 3rd quarter. Then had one more a bit later in the second half. And, of course, the one that we just saw right here.
Yep. 2 for 25 yards, a 4-yard touchdown run. That one goes for 8. But this is the play. This is the one.
Yep.
36-34. And I believe, Oldbridge is calling the timeout. Yes. So
I think Woodbridge will get a look at their offensive alignment and take a timeout themselves.
That's a good point.
So I think you have to have perhaps 2 looks ready. A look where you come out in and show it. If they don't call timeout, then you have a play ready. But I wouldn't be inclined to come out lined up in the look that I'm going to run the play out of. I would try and show them something a bit different and then maybe motion into my look or bring a back into the backfield out of a 5-wide look. Show them something else. Try and deceive the defense into calling a timeout and getting a look at a formation that isn't necessarily what you're looking to run your play out of.
Joe, let me ask you this. On that last play, maybe we'll get another look at it. Do you think maybe Woodbridge allowed Nugent the touchdown there? Take a look at some of their secondary players kind of moving backwards. I wonder what you think about potentially them letting them score here for a chance to get the ball back. What do you think?
I think it would be the stupidest play I've ever seen. I mean, you have the 8-point lead, so they can't beat you.
Right.
To let them score would be ridiculous. I think they just realized that Nugent was in.
Okay.
If they did do that, it would be the worst decision I've ever seen.
All right, so here we go. 36-34. The game essentially coming down to this. Oldbridge down to 1 timeout. Woodbridge also has one in case they wanted to get a long look here. In motion. They work that way. The ball is low and incomplete. And Woodbridge holds. And with 1:21 to go and only one timeout, it looks like Woodbridge can possibly salt this away. Of course, we do have the kickoff upcoming, and we'll undoubtedly see an onside kick.
That one stings, Dave. They had the look. It was a tight window. The throw was low. But even if the ball is caught, I'm not sure he's in the end zone because he had to come back to it. The defender was right on his back. He wasn't going to get any additional yardage. That is a really tough position to be put in as a receiver if you're Jaden Griffith. And I'm curious if the quarterback had the option to keep that and run as well. Run it back one more time, John. I'm curious to see, did the outside receiver come in and the slot receiver run the out? So the out, I think, came from near the line of scrimmage. But what I was curious to see is if you have your outside receivers come across the middle and the inside receiver go to the sideline, a lot of the time that opens up a running lane for the quarterback if he scrambles left. So if the defense follows the receivers, the quarterback can then turn that up the field on that play. I'm sure they had Nugent accounted for, but with all of that traffic, it was just so tough to spot exactly where all of the bodies ended up and where Nugent could have perhaps taken the football if he chose to run it.
Yep, and you just wonder if deception was the key there on that play because Nugent with his wheels and then the passing to the right side, and then that one goes an out route on the left side. Kind of makes you wonder if that was the intent there to deceive Woodbridge. They weren't having it, and now here comes Michaels, what would be, what we believe might be an onside kick. Here we go. And it's looks like we have a whistle here. Could have been an offside or perhaps a timeout called. Let's see. Not sure there. A little bit of talking going on with George on the far side of the field along with the linesman.
Okay, Dave, I got to look at the replay again. It was the motion man who was running the route to the flat.
Yep.
So they were trying to catch the defense, unable to match that with all of the traffic that was already assembled on the left side of the field. So the two receivers who were lined up wide left came across the middle, and then the motion man headed for the pylon.
So we know what Oldbridge is going to be doing here. They were just guilty of the infraction pre-snap. They move it back 5 yards. Here we go. Round two, onside kick. Squibber on the ground. It stays into open space. Coming down with it was Woodbridge, and now they can essentially take a couple of knees here and salt this one away. We had the drama, and this game was decided in the late stages, but man, what a game. It was 13-7 at halftime. So I'm doing the quick mental math in my head, 27 and 23, 50 points in the second half of this game.
I'm not sure anybody would have seen that coming based on what we saw in the first half, but we said it at the time. We liked the decision. If you go for two earlier when you kick the extra point on the side of Woodbridge and don't get it, then all they needed was a PAT there to tie the score. Not chasing points too early to go in front by 3 forced Oldbridge to go for the 2-point conversion in that spot and may have been the deciding factor in this game.
A very, very good point. And we say it so many times that with all the talent on the field on both sides, special teams is just huge in games like this. And don't forget, Oldbridge in a position to potentially tie the game because they did block a couple of extra points as well in this game. So from the shotgun, they take the knee, and looks like Oldbridge will call a timeout here, the requisite timeout taken at 1:17, guarding against a bad snap or anything like that. They'll line it up one more time, and then after that, they'll likely shake hands.
These two teams put on a show, Dave.
They sure did.
As I said before, if this is our first game covering high school football and effectively one of our first games of the fall season, probably I'd say our third broadcast of our official fall season, which began, of course, with the Jersey Sharks and the Elite Football Alliance. It continues with Oldbridge High School and Rockets Hockey Club. Plenty to come here on PDF, but if this is effectively our high school season opener, I'm not sure how you follow up this game.
Absolutely, and who knows, maybe next year or maybe, who knows, But maybe we travel to even more sites to do some high school games of the week, of course, as other teams catch on. And maybe one day we'll be traveling with Oldbridge and covering their road games as well. Either way, happy to have you, and thank you for joining us here tonight. And this atmosphere and this area and this place has been electric all night. We hope that you'll join us right here at the stadium for future games. If not, we'll have you covered. Full house and more in the backfield to ensure that this snap is taken and the knee effective. Derek Anderson turned in a good performance tonight as well. Let's not forget the great play of Woodbridge in this game. And they are going to win for the second year in a row on opening day against Oldbridge. And Oldbridge started their season 0-4 last year, rebounded nicely. They won 4 out of their last 6, 3 out of their last 4. Will have to take themselves off the mat here in week 1 and get themselves ready for Edison next week.
I think what really stands out to me from this game on the side of Woodbridge, 2 things. Balance on offense and the tremendous resilience they displayed in this game. Fell behind early, bounced back and took the lead. Fell behind again in the second half, bounced back and took the lead. Had their backs up against the wall, came within a successful 2-point conversion of surrendering a late 15-point lead. They come up with the big stop, and they come away with a win on opening night. As they will win by a final score of 36-34 in what I think is fair to say goes down as one of the greatest games ever on the PDF Sports Network.
Yeah, one that will be certainly hard to top. And as the final seconds tick off here, they line it up at the 50. Well-deserved and great handshakes all the way around. Well-coached game, of course. A lot of smiles on one end, a lot of disappointment on the other, but certainly one to grow on for both of these teams as they look to put together a very good 2024 season. Won't get any easier for Oldbridge, Joe. They have to entertain Edison, a very good team last year, of course. They'll come here on Friday night next week. Both of these teams get 8 full nights off before they scrimmage it up again. They'll enjoy the Labor Day weekend, and then it's back to the grind. And school starts.
Yeah, we certainly look forward to that game next week. It's been a long time since I had to worry about a first day of school, though I do work at a college, so there is some relevance there. But either way, we'll be back here on a high school campus next Friday night. As you mentioned, Dave, Oldbridge will take on Edison in the game next week, and we will have all of the Oldbridge home games all season long here on the PDF Sports Network. This just a little taste, and it was a great game, and there's really going to be a tough time for the games that follow this one, living up to the hype and the excitement generated by this outing this evening.
Absolutely. So that will wrap things up for us. Of course, we want to thank all of our sponsors here tonight, the great people at Oldbridge High School, of course, for having us and being such great hosts. All of you at home for tuning in. For our complete staff, Vincent Spazienza at Hero Camera, Patrick Gialorenzo upstairs operating our main camera, John McCooch, our engineer extraordinaire, helping us out here in the booth. For Joe Foreman, my name is David Pizzuto. We wish you a great rest of the evening, a great rest of the Labor Day weekend. Be safe out there. The final score here, Woodbridge 36, Oldbridge 34. We'll see you next week for more Oldbridge football right here on your home, PDF Sports Network.